Hi guys, and welcome back to another Tribe Talks podcast episode. So I'm going to break this up into two little mini segments here. I say mini, they're not that small, just like some other things in this life. I've had a chat with Mr. Gerbil, but due to certain time zone differences, namely him being 8 hours ahead of me, I have decided to record that footage earlier in the day and tack it on first. So you all get to have a nice recording now of me having a chat with Gerbil, and we're going to catch up in just a few moments with Mr. Ranger J. I'll see you then. Okay, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Tribe Talks podcast episode. Today I am joined by a special guest in the name of the Gerbil. Gerbil, welcome, and thank you so much for giving me your time today, joining us on the show.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure. I've always enjoyed your content, so it's awesome to get on your podcast.
Oh, thanks, man. Likewise. I know we were just having a little chat before this all started, but one of the things that drew me to your content was the fact that it is entirely different to 99.9% of content creators, because I don't know if people realize this, because the content creator sort of universe in Galaxy of Heroes is very much concentrated into a very small amount of content creators. You know, you've got your big content creators, like you've got your Arnold and you've got Xaereth and you've got people like this and APGAINS, and they get like almost everybody knows who they are, right? But there are dozens and dozens and dozens of SWGoH content creators that just don't get a whole lot of viewership. That doesn't mean that their content is bad, but it just means that we've got a broad selection of people and that nobody has ever heard of. And a lot of these guys, you know, I count myself among them, you're among them, have got really good content that just doesn't get covered. And you do stuff with Ewoks, you've done stuff with the Razor Crest and stuff like that. Not the Razor Crest, sorry, the
Raven's Claw.
Raven's Claw. I knew I had it in me. The Raven's Claw, Kal Katarn's ship, right? That is actually really valuable content. And it's the content that works for me, because I get to see stuff that can be useful to me that I don't necessarily have or wouldn't necessarily know about. So tell me a little bit about your angle when it comes to content creation and what draws you to it. I'm curious.
Yeah. So I initially started my channel, which is just the Gerbil, on YouTube. Unlike most content creators, I don't have a schedule. I don't post anything regularly, right? It's just kind of whenever I feel, you know, the whimsical drive to go make something and post it, or when I have a fun idea. And that's kind of how it started. It was back before Relics hit the game, so I guess it's going back about 3 years. And so Gear 12 was the top, and the meta, I think, was like Revan, Darth Revan, back and forth. And I was just like, I got into the game because of the Ewoks. I've always loved them since childhood. And so I just decided, you know, let's push these little furry freaks and see like what kind of stupid damage they can actually do. And so I started modding them all up to like plus 160, plus 170 speed. And I tried every comp I could. But I found that at some point, I learned them well enough and modded them well enough that I was beating like General Grievous. I was beating Revan-led teams. And it got the attention of Cubs fan Han, who did a whole episode on my stupid Ewok vids. And the reality was I was just kind of trolling the community more than actually providing anything meaningful. Right? I'm just trolling. Yeah. But at some point I thought, you know what? This is actually kind of fun, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm starting to engage with some people. So let's actually make something that's valuable. And I've always been a fan of the poem by Robert Frost, you know, the two roads... You know, what is it? 2 roads diverge in the woods, and I took the one less traveled is the paraphrase. And so I've always done that. I've always liked the underdog, whether it's in sports or politics or whatever. I like the underdog usually. So I just kind of kept that mentality with it. So like the last video I just posted recently is Home 1 with Bist and Biggs, Raven's Claw again, taking down a nearly maxed out 7-star Leviathan fleet. And it was my first and only battle against Leviathan because it's disappeared in my arena. Like it was there, and I was like, "Oh, look at that!"
I feel that. I like in my fleet arena. It's a blessing and a curse. I have a fleet arena that is dead. It's like there are like probably 10 active accounts in the whole fleet arena. So that's great because it means I do 1 or 2 battles a day for my payout. I hit top and I'm like, great, get my crystals. But on the bad side, when something new comes out, I cannot test it. I don't know how to fight a Leviathan until I see it in GAC because there's people inside my fleet shard that are running like 5-star profundity still, and I'm from a 2018 shard. It's not like it's a new shard. They just don't do old. Fleet. Yeah, it's pretty old. It's pretty old, so it's easy. But there's one guy apart from myself that's got Leviathan in my fleet shard, and he's got it 6 stars. I've got it 6 stars. He doesn't even set it, and I don't set it because it's not a. Yeah, it's not. But I want to hear about Home 1 without even using Millennium Falcon, or does it reinforce? Sorry,
so
you said Bistan, Cassian, Biggs, was it? No,
Bistan, Biggs, Raven's Claw, and then the Falcon is the first reinforcement.
Okay, and so let's use Falcon,
I was wanting to go back and try it without Falcon and just try Cassian as the RI. I think I'll explain why it works in a second, but like the Raven's Claw, so when Raven's Claw came out, there was no profundity, right? And so everybody looked at it and they were like, why do I need this? Like, what's the point of it? It was not better than the Falcon, and it had a bunch of almost mirrored features. Like, if it starts the turn with Foresight, it'll double tap on basic, but it calls an assist, just like the Falcon does. And again, I think if it starts to turn with Foresight, it'll dispel on basic, like the Falcon, right? So it's kind of like an overlap, but with limitations. And so nobody played with it much, myself included. And then when Profundity came out, and the Falcon jumped over to that fleet, it was like, well, what do you do with Home 1? And I'm just like, again, road less traveled. I don't want to bench it. So I started, testing it in my arena, which is quite active, against everything I could find. And I was asking people in Discord, I was like, hey, can you put Malevolence on? Hey, can you put Negotiator back on? And I discovered that the Raven's Claw, I think is actually a better starting ship than the Falcon. Because what happens is the Raven's Claw invalidates any enemy tank, essentially. It just bypasses it. So Biggs applies target lock on his basic. Bistan is the fastest ship there in the fleet, and he opens up with a special applying target lock. Anytime you apply target lock, the Raven's Claw and a random ship get Foresight. And when they've got Foresight, they ignore taunt. So between Biggs' basic and Home 1's propensity to call assists, and the Raven's Claw's basic calling assists, you're perpetually landing target lock, which gives you that Foresight to just, give the middle finger to the taunting tank. You don't care about them. So like Houndstooth is irrelevant against the Raven's Claw. It just doesn't matter. Same thing with Malevolence fleets, the Bomber and what was that, Sunfac. It's just like, no, I'm going to go kill everything else. But then what happens with the Falcon, when it comes in as its reinforcement, what it does is it calls every rebel to assist and applies Foresight on every rebel. Right. Yeah. So now every single ship on its next turn, again, ignores taunt. And so what's really crazy is like when the Falcon assists, if it targets the Raven's Claw to assist, it double taps, calling another assist. And then Home 1, every time somebody assists, they get 30% protection up. So you're just constantly spreading that protection up, gaining Foresight, and ignoring taunt. So
that's nifty.
It actually handles most non-meta fleets real well right now.
That's actually super important for taking out a Leviathan, right? Because you never want to be hitting the bomber until, in my experience, you don't want to hit the bomber until the end, because it's going to be passing you thermal detonators, which is going to fuel the capital ship to get to its ultimates quicker, to get to its specials quicker. So being able to not attack the bomber, you could attack the Fury class interceptor to get rid of the additional defense and the savior mechanic it's got, or you could go and hit the Sith fighter or the Sith the TIE Dagger, whichever one they have in that starting lineup, get rid of the extra ships, and that would really help you get a leg up, I guess. But
if I'm hearing you right, I don't know how the bomber works then, because I opened up with everything on the bomber. It was my first target, and I just unloaded on it, tried to get it out. Because I thought that the bomber just passively applied the detonators that daze you would shut down Home One's protection up in the assists. If it's only when you attack it, then yeah, my video was all wrong, but I still won, so I'm not going to cry about it.
Well, I mean, a win's a win, right? You're not going to get mad about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I believe it has a chance when it gets hurt to apply the thermal detonators on whoever's attacked it. So that's what I did. I used the Profundity in my one GAC match against a maxed out Leviathan, standard starting lineup with the TIE Dagger, not the Sith Fighter. And I just went in. I didn't do the call to assist at the start with the Profundity. Standard opening lineup of the Y-Wing, Millennium Falcon, and Outrider. I just did the basic with the Profundity to pass the turn to my Millennium Falcon, dispelled his taunt, then killed the Fury class interceptor, which gets rid of all the additional bonuses. And then I killed everybody else, left the bomber till the end. Because it does... What you'll notice is, because of how the Outrider applies so many attacks in each of its turns, all of its hits are like multi-hit attacks.
Right.
It'll stack up like 9, 12 thermal detonators instantly as soon as you hit the bomber. And all those debuffs are going to be fueling the ultimate of the Leviathan as well as its first special, which is why it can immediately, sabotage the hangar. So I decided to just ignore it. Didn't even call a reinforcement. Got my ultimate off first, and I finished with maximum banners. And I had 2 reinforcements. I had... What did I have? I had the Phantom and the Ghost, and I never called them. I never called them and didn't need them. So I could have not used them and gained an extra 2 banners. And I would have been absolutely fine. And I was just like, man, this is disappointing. But, I mean, as cool as it is to be able to beat the Leviathan with... off-meta and stuff like that, I can't help but feel, man, that they need to do something about it. It shouldn't, I feel it in my soul like it shouldn't happen this easily and this widespread. Because I'm hearing everything beating it,
The Leviathan, I think, is just a fundamentally flawed fleet. It's not even the bugs, I think, that are beating it. I think it's just flawed. And I suspect that's why we haven't heard anything other than their CG's initial, we are aware of these 5 bugs. Because I think that they're probably scratching their head saying, even if we fix this, I don't think it's going to substantially improve the fleet. I mean, like you just pointed out, Profundity doesn't need reinforcements. In fact, Profundity can beat a lot of fleets, including Executor, with only 2 starting ships, and that's it, Outrider and Falcon. Because
it's just crazy.
every single time, every time Falcon attacks, it guarantees Outrider assists. I mean, the thing that slows the Profundity down is when the Y-Wing assists, because it doesn't do any damage. But like you said, when Outrider assists, it taps 6 times. 3 normal damage plus 3 true damage. And so, like, you land the concussion missiles, that's 5 instances of damage. Each one of those has a 20% chance to call an assist, which will be Falcon, which will assist again.
That's a wholesome moment.
My 4-year-old, he's... Aw, thank you. Yeah.
That's cute, man. That's cute.
Yeah. So, thanks. Yeah, so the sabotage, what do you call it? The hangars, I guess, is a wasted turn against Profundity. Yep. It's just, you don't need it. And then likewise, with Home One, when you call in the Falcon in my strategy, you don't need any other ships after that. And so again, when it sabotages Home Ones, you're just like, well, you just wasted your turn. So it literally...
I guess it's dependent on you getting that reinforcement before they... you've got to get MILF out before they sabotage the hangar, right? Because you want to be able to get that foresight. Cool.
Yeah. I'm wondering which ship is actually faster. I'm gonna look that up real quick to see.
The Leviathan is slow as molasses, man. It's a super slow
captain. That's what I was thinking. Right, which...
they try to offset it by the sabotage the engine's ability slows the enemy's capital ship by 30%, but obviously you're going to get out the gate sooner regardless. So you should be able to get to first reinforcement before they do that, provided you don't stack too many debuffs at the start, So...
Yeah. Home One is 193 speed maxed, and Leviathan is 180 something. I think it was 184. So yeah, by the time, so Home One's going to go first, and it may already have the turn meter advantage to get it out. I don't know. But yeah, it's just, and then as other people have pointed out, when you do the ultimate on Leviathan, yeah, you're taking over the capital ship, but what then? I mean, like I've seen so many videos where even though the other team has lost their capital, they were still in a position where it was like 4-2, right? And they win just because of the numbers at that point.
Or
So
you know, you can even just time out as a Leviathan, unable to kill the enemy ships because. Yeah, they don't have a capital ship, but that capital ship isn't really giving you much benefit. It's certainly not giving you an offensive benefit. It stops them from being able to use it, and that's the biggest thing, right? But then all you've got with your capital ship is a basic that, whilst it's useful because fear is great, that fear is bugged. They cleanse it all the time, and it doesn't do anything. And it's just a basic. It doesn't improve your stats. It's not all of a sudden like you gain a 30%, 50% damage boost. You're still doing the same little chip away damage, and sometimes that's not enough to kill a fleet. Yeah. So,
I mean, like if Y-Wing doesn't die, they don't do enough damage to compensate for Y-Wing's regeneration. If
you haven't got rid of either Y-Wing or Outrider, there's too much healing on a profundity fleet for you to kill it effectively. It's a real problem. But
so there's not enough damage output.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, keep going. I was just going to say the post that I think it was Tuscan Meathead was putting out about the known bugs. They were saying that apparently when you take over the capital ship, the enemy fleet is supposed to lose the unique benefit of the capital ship. And that will go some way to help killing it, because I believe, like the profundity, for example, gives a bunch of additional stacking stats to the rebels, for example, definitely for the bounty hunters. The bounty hunters become incredibly thick and damaging thanks to the unique of the executor. So them losing that benefit if you take over the capital ship will do a little bit more to help. But I can't believe that. Why didn't they just give it the stranded debuff like the profundity does, where it wrecks the opponent's fleet? You know, it's just a time bomb. You've got like 3 turns. You're not recovering protection. You're not recovering health. You're going to die. You know, they should have given it something like that to make it feel like you've closed out the battle once you've hit that ultimate with Leviathan, and it really doesn't feel like you have at this point. Just disappointing.
Right, and taking over the enemy fleet, unless it's the same ship, a mirror match, you don't get any benefit from it. Even if it's a mirror match, I'm not sure you do. Because like you take over an executor, I think it says, heal target Empire or Bounty Hunter, for example, on that special. You don't have those, right? Likewise, you don't have a rebel on your fleet when you take over Profundity or Home One. So it's just like, okay.
Yeah, I think the funny thing was, like, if you take over a Profundity, for example, the best move to use with a Profundity is like the basic, because you can pass a bonus turn. It's like it's just not fun. It's just like, okay. They should have I discussed this before with the Wolf, but I think what they should have done they should have granted you an ability where you can just ram your capital ship into the enemy fleet. Just like, you've got control over it. Why do you care? Just ram the fleet. Just drive into them or fly into them. Like, at least that would be cool. Maybe have it on a 2-turn cooldown and it does like an AoE stun or something like that. But let us do something really fun with it instead of just capture it and then be like, okay, that's it.
There's quite a lot.
So
it feels like a lack of imagination presently at CG.
And that's such a shame too, because the animations on the ship I actually feel are really cool. Like Revan storming the brig, or whatever you want to call it. It's a really cool little cinematic that they've put in. Even destroying the hangars and sabotaging the engines and all this business, having that active animation showing that you physically destroyed parts of the ship looks really cool and it feels really thematic. But then the practicality of playing the fleet is it's just not fun. It's like, okay. Kind of bored.
No, I mine is 5 stars. Yeah, and I tried it. I battled 3 or 4 matches in my arena running my own, and I timed out every single time. I didn't beat anything, and I was just like, wow, this is like it again. It's bugged, of course, but it was not an enjoyable experience.
Well, it's
so
funny,
we'll
right?
see.
Because I've got it at 6 stars, and even at 6 stars, it's not great. There's still timeout risks, and the only way I could get it to effectively win on a regular basis was by using reinforcements that are not thematic. So I would take in I would take in 2 reinforcements on my bench. So I'd have the Interceptor, because you still want to have that insta-kill, right? But my other reinforcement would be the Phantom, so that I could decrease my reinforcements. So you summon Phantom, then you can summon the Interceptor and kill a ship really quickly. Use that against the Profundity. That really helped. And then against Executors, I'd use the same lineup, but my extra reinforcement would just be the Ebon Hawk. And I'd bring in the Ebon Hawk as the first reinforcement because it will dispel all their tenacity up and we'll get chaff so they can't get target lock, so it slows down their ultimate. And those were the only thing. Yeah, exactly. And they were the only ways that I could beat those fleets. But I keep thinking about it. I'm like, why should I be using these ships with the brand new meta ship? Like, I should be using the Sith fleet. I'm not using the Sith fleet. I'm using other ships that make it work. I'm just like, it was disappointing. It was disappointing.
Like no Rogue One U-wings with Profundity, right? I mean,
well, exactly. I
mean, they were at Xaereth. But
yeah,
Falcon was not.
It makes sense. Falcon was not. No, it was not. It's. But, and was the Outrider there? I don't think it was, but hey.
No, I don't think it was either. But no, I mean, Phantom makes perfect sense, right? To be in a Sith Empire fleet. I mean, I understand that one.
Why wouldn't they be there? So, yeah, it's stuff like from what I hear, at 7 stars, you've got a lot more offensive power because you've got the extra ferocity and it helps with the damage output and obviously being able to stop the reinforcements and all this benefits, right? I get it. It's just a little bit disappointing that it has very little viability outside of 7 stars, and even at 7 stars, still incredibly bugged. So,
I think what the bigger concern though is to me is not even the fleet. It's the concern for I would say the financial viability of the game and the company going forward, because they've had so many failed, or bugged entrances, right? Whether it's Conquest, data disks not working, Galactic Challenge, things not working. It feels like every new character has something that's not working. I've been playtesting Princess Nisa quite a bit in the last few days.
Oh yeah.
And she's only -5 stars, so I don't have the much opportunity. There's only so many things I can challenge at 5 stars. But I suspect that she's not working quite right either. Raven's Claw, my favorite ship, it was not working right when it came out. I reported a bug to that, and we had several conversations with their tech support. So the point is, like, what keeps them financially running is, of course, all the incremental spending that people buy here or there, random packs, but also the top 1-2%ers who dump money for these initial 7-star,
of course,
characters to have the month or 6-month advantage. And yet this one in particular is so backwards and failing to perform to the hype that they themselves created that, like, I very easily could see people maybe not in mass, but a substantial enough number of people to affect their bottom line, step back and say, well, GLA, I'm going to wait. I'm going to hold off for a month or two, and that hurts the company and that hurts their already seemingly tapped development process.
Well, they're hurting their brand, right? The faith that the consumer has got in CG is shaken, right? Because if they're promising the world like they did with the Leviathan by saying it's brand new meta, the King of Fleet Arena, these are their words, not mine. If they're promising all that and then the release is so tragic to this extent, and I do call it a completely tragic release. What faith has the consumer base got that they can believe anything? It's exactly what you're trying to say, right?
Yeah,
who's going to wail on this when they know that it's not going to work?
Yeah, and I don't have a PhD in business management or anything, but just like off the top of my head, I can see 2 things they could have done to mitigate some of this damage. Like they could have, when they released it, the day before or week before, put something on the forums that say, dear community, we are super excited to bring Leviathan. We want you to be aware that we know some existing bugs are in the kit. We're working on it, but knowing how much people want it, we're going to go ahead and release it to begin, playing and enjoying what you can now. Like, that at least would have set the tone and the expectation, rather than buying your shiny new package, opening it and finding it broke in the box, right? And then, of course, like, I don't know what the whole scandal was with the beta tester program that they killed about a year ago, I guess, or maybe 2. But they really, really, if they don't, they really need to reinvest in getting a team of beta testers. I mean, they need 20, 30 people who are going to grind away on this thing and be like,
I mean,
this ain't working.
I can't speak to why it closed down. I have a very high level idea of why it cancelled, and that was due to leaks. There's always going to be leaks when you've got, even NDAs. An NDA is going to deter people from releasing information, but there's always going to be that guy. There's always going to be someone that just can't keep his his mouth shut about, he gets excited about something, We've got, let's just say Revan Reborn is coming to the game and he's so goddamn excited, he just has to tell his best friend, who then, spreads it around a Discord server, and then it goes everywhere. It's like, I've got screenshots of new GL Revan is coming to the game. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And ultimately, CG needs to decide, is the threat of leaks worth having a beta test program? And for my opinion, I'd say it has to be, because leaks are not necessarily bad. It generates hype around your game. So it's like...
Right. As the old saying, right? Any press is good press, right? And that of course allows people some time to farm and pool up and hoard resources. But at the end, the harm is really insignificant, I think, to the just consistent train wreck that we have right now. Right?
Yeah.
It's like every time something new comes, there's that meme on Reddit, right? With Bart Simpson, say the line, CG. And with that becomes the status quo. Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember when in the when even the Game Changer program was still around. So that predates the beta testing program. And it was either Arnold or Cubs was doing a video on the beta account or on the Game Changer account, and they had it was IG2K. They had the icon for upcoming events, and it was IG2K's icon, and somebody had spotted it in the background and said, "Whoa, that's IG2000 ship. That's a brand new ship. That's not in the game. Why is that up there?" And so like a leak inadvertently happened because one of the content creators had done a video with that icon in the background. It's like, but ultimately, it's IG2K, man. Is it really that important that people find out that this one obscure bounty hunter ship is coming to the game? Is that such a big deal? But CG apparently lost their minds about it. And, now we don't have a Game Changer program or anything, or a beta tester program either. It's just...
There are like 20 or 30 models in the game that are there, but you can't find or see. Like Chancellor Palpatine was recently highlighted on a few places. Like, it's there, and it doesn't mean anything significant. And it doesn't take anything from CG to just simply say, oh, yeah, that's in the game, but we haven't, we're not ready to release it, or we have no plan to release it. Or, once again, we have lots of models in the game that aren't presently available. I mean, so what? So what? And again, more hype means more viewers, means more people engaging. Exactly. More people engaging means more potential revenue. So
exactly, because it's not like CG does a mass load of advertising for this game. You know what I mean? It's not like it's widely known and seen everywhere. So the content creator universe, your Twitch and your YouTube and all this sort of business, that's free revenue, that's free advertising for CG essentially, right? So it's kind of in their interest. And I agree with what you said. I don't have a degree in business, I don't understand the bottom line, I don't have the backing data to see how does leaks affect the bottom line. I don't. We're just making some assumptions here that seem to make sense to a layman. Maybe they've got different data that supports other things, but it just, I can't wrap my head around it. They definitely, bottom line, they need to get some beta testers in, and they need to allocate more time to actually fixing the bugs, because I refuse to believe that CG did not run this fleet and notice these bugs. And didn't notice the bugs. I'm sure that they were fully aware of the fact that, for example, we're dazing our own fleet when we're bringing in reinforcements. Fully aware of the fact that you could... Well, maybe they missed you can shoot the enemy capital ship with the interceptor, because that's a little bit weird.
The Mark 6.
Right? Because who would have tried that, right? Who would have tried that? But the other little things like the Millennium Falcon... the Millennium Falcon cleansing debuffs when it shouldn't be because there's only 2 unique debuffs, that sort of thing. I'm sure they were aware of those little intricacies, and they just thought, we'll fix it afterwards. Let's just pretend like it's fine and dory, because all you have to do is go into a fleet battle and go, oh, hang on, this feels bad. It doesn't feel like we're winning particularly easy here. So Yeah.
Well, and
So
surely they
I
would have
think they just
noticed that
released
every
it.
battle, even at 7 stars, takes minutes, 3, 4, 5 minutes sometimes. It's like, how is that ever going to be fun and engaging if you have to do it 2 or 3 times a day after day, right?
For sure.
It's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to spend 12 minutes a day for the next 365 days till a new ship comes out. That's
Yeah.
just not fun.
They must have known it. They
Oh,
must
well.
have known it, and they released it anyway. But I digress. I don't want us to talk exclusively about Leviathan this whole time. You mentioned Princess Nisa, and you think that she's not functioning quite right. What do you think is up with her kit? At the moment?
So it could be, I mean, it could just simply be a matter from my perspective of the potency versus tenacity checks. But I've noticed that in my limited testing, it feels that certain characters are almost immune to the damage over time effect. So when an Ewok attacks out of turn, they're supposed to be applying a damage over time on the target enemy. And I do believe it's resistible. I don't think it says in the kit that it's unresistible or anything. But so I've been testing a lot against who have I've been trying against Gas, Darth Revan, Vader Led, most recently Jedi Knight Luke. And so, for example, in 2 or 3 games back to back, I never landed a damage over time when attacking with Retribution. And I was like, well, that's attacking out of turn. But other times, if I had like Wicked, Call, Nisa to attack, or Chirpa, it would land the same damage over time. So it could be some kind of a class specific. It could be something happening on the enemy teams I'm just not familiar with in their kits. I haven't had enough testing on it, but I definitely feel that the DOT is not applying as it should at the moment.
It's not applying in all instances. You think it might specifically be when they're attacking with Retribution, the counterattacks essentially not applying it?
Yeah.
Because that could
Yeah,
well
I haven't
just
been
be
seeing it on my
coding, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely could be coding. And my concern, of course, being the Ewok nut that I am, I'm going to Relic 7 her the moment I get her to Gear 12. And it'll be 6 months before they address that, if I'm right. But then again, I could be wrong. I mean, I need more play testing. I mean, they're going to be like, it's an Ewok. We don't care.
On the plus side, at least she's still a GL layer requirement. And I know months and months ago, you'd already put out speculation saying the next GL is going to be GL layer, which, hey, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Almost 13 months, actually. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
It was over a year.
But
I said
prepped for it then?
Tarkin. Oh yeah, definitely I am. I'm dumping all my crystals and hoarding crystals and dumping them into the weekly shipments right now for Captain Rex, and I've got most of Phoenix all up to Relic 3 now. I really suspect there's going to be another Phoenix in the layer requirements, and I don't know who. So I'm just waiting on it. But I love the Phoenix team now with Rex. That one is so much fun. In Conquest, I heard everybody talk about how hard the Phoenix kills were.
The victory,
which
right?
one? Which feat was it?
Yeah, it's
winning right with
without losing units. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was the easiest feat I had. That was absolutely the easiest feat. Because I'll tell you how to do this one, and I would like to make a whole vid on that and just share this little strategy. But Perseverance, it's when an ally attacks out of turn, they attack again, right? So with Perseverance, you get 2 assists with everybody. So you're getting 8 attacks out of turn. And then the stacking fervor, I think, is when you attack out of turn, you get 4% offense stacking. So that's 8 times 4 is 32% offense per attack.
You're getting a bit.
Right? Yeah. So like in phase 1, you go to that bonus node, and it was the Bad Batch. And so you open with Chopper, who just takes away the taunt. Everybody attacks, and you're like, oh, there's 32% bonus offense. And then if you're lucky enough, and I was, to get Deadly Catalyst, then what happens is you bypass 30% of their protection to hit their health. So then you put on something like Steadfast.
Swiftness?
The one? Yeah, exactly. So then now everybody is faster. Yeah. So then what you just start one-shotting everyone. You're just like, kill that one, kill. Okay, repeat.
I did very similar stuff myself, actually. But I was using... I didn't have Deadly Catalyst, but I was using just a standard sort of Amplify Agony setup with Volatile Accelerator and Ruthless Swiftness. And it's just, if you take a turn, something is dying because of all of these assists and attacks out of turn and all the debuffs that I was applying, getting, amplified agonied so that they're losing percentage health effects. And you just go, everybody dies, everybody dies, everybody dies. It's just like, you just one tap them and they just go, it's very satisfying.
I had a great time with that one. Yeah. For sure. So Leia, I've got Wicked is R7, of course. If you know anything about my accounts, in fact, I just took Chirpa and Elder up to Relic 8 because why not?
Oh. My lord. I've heard Elder is actually one of the ones that people are considering dropping from the Ewok team. And I don't know loads about Ewoks. But isn't he supposed to be the whole TM generation for like the Ewoks? Why would you get rid of him?
They all in their own ways feed turn meter for sure. But Elder, I think it's like I think he has a 60% chance to give everybody 25% turn meter on his basic. And so like under Chirpa's Omicron, if you're in GAC, every time you use a special, there's a 100% chance for somebody to assist. So it's a 1 in 4 there. But then of course everybody else calls assist, and like Chirpa calls a mass assist. So, but yeah, he's a huge turn meter train. But what else he does is he gives himself, I think he gives himself 50% turn meter on the basic. So there are situations where basic Chirpa's leadership passes 20% turn meter. So if that check applies on Elder, he gives himself 70% turn meter. So there are plenty of situations where he's just like, hit, I'll go again, hit, I'll go again, hit. And your whole team is then going. I do not think you want to remove him from the Ewok team with Nisa now.
Who would you remove?
I think there's a
as the fifth?
Oh man, so that is the struggle, right? I was just putting together a video for that. Let me grab my notes. Okay, yeah. So like, Nisa's Omicron is in Territory Wars, and I've applied that.
Of course,
it gives her a 100% counter chance. yeah. I was like, done. Whenever an Ewok attacks out of turn, the target enemy loses 5% stack and crit damage, which is nice. But whenever she attacks, also, her cooldowns drop by 1, and she triple shots. So basically, she's going to spam her specials every single turn, which is quite nice because one of them is a 100% turn meter removal and stun. So they lose basically 2 turns. So you got to reaccumulate that turn meter, and then you lose the turn, got to reaccumulate turn meter again. So I think she's going to be really effective in Territory War. So then it's like, who do you put out there? Like, and I'm actually going to recommend it as a defensive team initially. And so I'm looking at Chirpa, Elder, Logray, Poplu, and Nisa. So
losing Wicked.
No Wicked.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, losing Wicked.
I suppose she can and the reason for the offense loss there, I guess.
No, I'm going for timeouts. I'm sorry to whoever fights against it. Just timeout. Because so Poplu has one of the fastest regenerations in the game. At any status effect, positive or negative, he regains 5% health and 5% protection. And then Nisa doubles that health. I think it's the health. Maybe it's the protection, but doubles it to 10%. So, like, if Chirpa does his swarm attack, for example, he gains, I think, 3 buffs. So basically recovering 30% health and 15% protection right off the bat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's going to get really, really beefy. And then Logray, Chirpa, and Poplu all pass buffs around whenever they're called to assist. So and then like Logray gives Foresight, and then Nisa gives Foresight, and then through Nisa, whenever they get stunned or dazed, they all gain Foresight, so there's regeneration there, and then they all gain 100% protection up. So I'm just going for the revives from Elder, the Foresight, mass daze from Logray, the rapid healing from Poplu, and then Nisa for the turn meter and everything else that she brings to the board.
Yeah, that sounds horrendous.
Yeah, I think it's going to stall out a lot of people. I think what's going to happen initially, for sure, is that they're going to throw a GL at it because they just don't know what to do
Yeah.
initially,
Yeah.
or they're going to go, oh, they're Ewoks, and they'll send in something like, I don't know, some B tier first order and get smacked.
It's a funny sort of dichotomy in SWGoH. It's like when you see a team on defense that you've just never seen before and you don't know how to deal, or it's a brand new team, right? You either overkill it or you underestimate it. It's not like middle ground. You never strike it quite right the first time. So it's like you said, someone's just going to throw a GL, or someone's going to go in with something like, I don't know, Mon Mothma, and they just will not have the DPS to chew through, and it'll be like, oh. And then they
My
preloaded
Phoenix
it.
got 2 holds last week in GAC.
Nice, man.
They just people looked at Rex. And they're like 4-star Rex. So that'll be easy. No, actually, it
well,
wasn't.
that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Because for me and my Phoenix at the moment, I've had a lot of sub goals on my Twitch channel, which have been members of my community had voted for me to R9 particular characters when we hit these sub goals, and 3 of them, now 4 of them, have been Phoenix. So I've had Chopper, Zeb, and Kanan all going to R9 because of community sub goals, community requests, and we just this weekend we did the one for Kanan, so that hit the sub goal. So I've started investing in him. I've got until Friday basically to take him to R9, and the next one they voted for was Captain Rex. He's going to R9, so I'm going to have like a full Relic 9 Phoenix team apart from Hera, who's at R5. But I might just do that out of my own desire to see a full R9 team. And it's just, I'm so excited to get him to Relics. I'm like, give it to me, baby. I want to see how this guy works.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
That is going to be so beefy to get through with Chopper and Kanan. God.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And then especially with the Datacron on there, the 15% health and protection.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
There's a lot of recovery in that team. If you've got Chopper, Zeb, and Kanan, the amount of recovery on that team is absolutely obnoxious. And a lot of people don't realize as well, Zeb is a tank. I know he doesn't taunt, but he is a tank. So at Relic 9, he's gaining like 30,000 additional protection, and he recovers something like 30% protection when he's got a debuff when he starts his turn. So if he's got 150,000 protection, he's recovering like what would that be? 45,000-ish protection per turn. That's nutty. That's a lot. And of course,
really
it gets shared throughout the whole team. So it's wonderful. I can't wait.
Phoenix is one of the teams I hate to play against the most in Conquest because of that. Like, I don't know how many times I've thrown like a CLS at it, and I'm like, oh, this will be easy. And then as soon as I hit play, I'm like, no, wait. Like,
oh wait, I forgot. This team is the devil. Yeah. With Sabine taking infinite turns. I've had Sabine take so many turns against my JML that she's killed JML, triggered sacrifice, and killed him again before I take a turn. She just keeps on going. Shoot, savior, keep shooting, kills him. And I'm like, honestly, girl, calm down. Like, I would like a turn. This is a GL. No, Phoenix are horrible in Conquest, man.
Irrelevant.
I'm not a fan.
I'm really eager to test out C3PO once again with the Ewoks, because I haven't used C3PO with them in a couple of years. But I think like a crazy comp that I'm considering for GAC would be Chirpa, obviously with his Omicron, so you get all his assists. Tebow, Scout, Nisa, C3PO. And you're probably like, what the hell are you thinking?
I am like, what is that team?
Okay, so Scout removes turn meter on basic. Tebow removes all turn meter on basic. Not Tebow, but Scout calls assists. Nisa calls assists. Chirpa has a mass assist. C3PO has a mass assist. And every time you assist, you should be applying the damage over times. Yep. So between the turn meter removals on Tebow, Scout, and even C3PO has turn meter removal on his basic.
Yeah.
Right.
It's 5%, right?
Yeah, and then he gives them the stacks of translation to drop their cooldowns. So the thinking is you just basically start swarming the assists, selectively removing turn meter as needed, and kill them with the dots.
Yeah. Well, I mean, C3PO is going to be applying exposes as well, and that should really help. That should
Yeah,
really,
especially
really
with,
help.
excuse me,
Okay.
I'm choking on something. But yeah, especially when like Nisa hits and then applies expose and then hits again, triggering, then hits again, applies expose.
Oh, it's going to be
So and if
nasty.
that's coming off the assist, right? So like if Scout hits with his special, calls Nisa, you're gonna get 2 assists or 2 expose instances triggered. So
Yeah. And that's like exposed damage is pretty huge. I can't remember the actual percentage. Is it like 8%, 5%? I'm not sure.
I think it's
Might be more than that.
it's actually higher. I think it's like 20% of health.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, so it's pretty significant damage increase. It's pretty huge. And it can certainly help with a team like Ewoks that's typically more death by 1,000 cuts type of approach, where they're just doing smaller amounts of damage. Having that exposed is just going to ramp up the amount of output that they give. Obviously, it won't help against teams that are immune to that or take reduced damage from percentage health effects, like
Like a GL.
Crew, Malik, who else?
Yeah, there's quite
Malgus.
a few. But yeah, I just googled it. Yeah, it's 20% of their health.
Wow, yeah, that's huge. That's so
Yeah.
much damage. Yeah,
Yeah,
that'll be really good. I mean,
That'll be fun.
it's
So
it's
I mean,
a
it's
bit of a heavy
crippling my
sacrifice,
CLS
but-
a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
the thing. But hey, we don't know what's happening with new Leia. Maybe she's going to be stealing some members of the Rebel faction. I don't think so. I don't prescribe to it because I think she's actually going to be more of a Rebel fighter leader. But we don't know until it gets released. So she might start stealing CLS. You never know.
So yeah, Leia. So okay, the graphic they put in the journey guide is very clearly an indoor Leia, right? Yeah. And so they always release the requirements in sets of 5 right now. At least that's the trend, right? So we got 5. We got 2 more blocks coming soon. I think it's interesting that in the first block, we got 2 Ewoks, a new one and a Wicket, right? So like I speculated in my initial video, what if she is actually an Ewok synergy? Like what? Because in the basic, she said it said end or transmission lost or something. Right?
Yeah, that was it.
And
Yeah.
spoiler?
They've cut off a part of her kit.
What if the next sentence of that is something similar for Ewoks? That she synergizes with Ewoks, because like if you go back to the movie, okay, now hear me out here. Here we are. This is something like that people always overlook. What was our first encounter with Ewoks? So we got Han Solo, Jedi Knight Luke, C-3PO, R2-D2 with sensors and proximity sensors and whatever they got. And then you got Chewbacca there with his wild animal instincts and smell. They were ambushed by 40 or 50 Ewoks without knowledge that they were there. Like, Luke didn't sense them with the Force. R2 didn't pick them up with any of his sensors. Chewie didn't smell them.
Yeah.
And boom, there's 40 Ewoks as close as like 5 meters. Right?
Yeah.
So, but then Leia, what does she do? Instead of getting, air marked as food, she convinces a native tribal species to join them in a battle against a clearly superior force. So what if her team is actually Ewoks? And maybe a rebel.
days.
That guy, like a rebel soldier and 3 Ewoks.
It's definitely going to be Drogon, right? We know. Well, we don't know, but it sounds like Drogon was specifically built to go in her team. I'm assuming we're getting his kit next week because it's been 3 weeks, I think, since we've had Nisa, or is it 2? I'm not sure. But I'm
It's
assuming
almost
that's coming soon.
2. I don't
Okay,
I don't think we'll get him this week. And I also don't think that he's going to be a requirement, because like they gave us 5 and then they name dropped him, which would be 6 requirements if they did that. And that just seems kind of odd to me. So I suspect that he will come later, maybe as a conquest character or something.
Okay.
That wouldn't surprise. I mean, it's all speculation, right? But I kind of suspect that there will be another marquee for each of those blocks of 5, of course. But I'm thinking it's going to be possibly Bail or another Ewok, or Scout Trooper. Sorry, so Bail Scout or another new Ewok is what I'm expecting.
Well, I know that the data mine packs that we had recently have already implied that there's 2 more marquees coming. So, and this is outside of a supposed Drogon marquee as well. There's 2 additional packs. You know, they don't say the number. It's like marquee pack number 54 and number 55, or character bundle, or whatever they call it, which comes with a release of a marquee. So we know we're getting 2 new ones in the near future, which is quite a lot, because Jabba, we had 3 marquees, right? We had Santi, we had Bauschleyer, and Skiffguard Lando. Three new marquees, all required for Jabba, and we've already got 2, and we're getting at least 2 more. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be for Leia, but I think we can make some assumptions that it's most likely that they're going to be for Leia, which means we're going to have quite marquee heavy team or requirements.
I think they will be. Yeah, so Jabba, if I recall, hit the tables on September, I think around the 20th, 21st or something. I don't remember exactly. And if that falls as the same this year, we're only 6 weeks away, maybe 7 weeks. So basically, yeah, you need the next set of 5 and a marquee, wait 3 weeks, repeat, wait 2 weeks, not Jabba, but Leia. So yeah, I think both of these marquees are definitely for her.
Yeah.
But, and again, I like speculation.
Yeah, no, speculation is healthy for the game. It's fun. And it can help you get a leg up for future stuff, you know.
I also think Saw Gerrera is going to be in there as a requirement.
Oh yeah, that wouldn't make too much. That wouldn't be too unsurprising, I guess. He's still got ties to Leia. Makes sense. He is also a rebel fighter. Makes sense, and he's not required past Gear 12 currently, right?
Right. So exactly. So that pushes you up there. But he's kind of like, you know, like her counterpart or her antithesis, right? Saw was, who cares what the costs are? Achieve the victory, right? And Leia was actually a pacifist in the beginning, right? So I think he'll be there.
He's very much a Machiavellian type guy, isn't he? He ends justify the means. Almost radicalized.
Yeah, I expect the Hoth rebel soldier to be there. Maybe Jyn Erza, because she was obviously got the Death Star plans to give to Leia. Yep. And then the big wild card to me is Afra, Sana, or Mara going to be there. I expect one of those 3, because like Mara was claimed. I mean, I don't know the whole lore here. I'm kind of in the dark on this one, but Mara, as I understand, was non-canon Luke's wife for a while, or maybe has been canonized. I don't remember.
I don't know if it's canon or not, but I know that did happen. Yeah.
And then Dr. Afra and Leia had many, many interactions in the comic series. I mean, even Leia's on the cover of multiple Afra comics. And then Sana claimed to be Han Solo's wife. So Leia probably had something to say about that.
Yeah, so, she probably wasn't too happy about that, I imagine, depending on where in the timeline that sits. But
yeah.
I'm not so well versed in wider sort of expanded universe lore, as it were. So I can't.
This
really
game has
too much.
Pushed my knowledge for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I'd heard of people like Mara Jade, but outside of the fact that she was originally, Palpatine's right-hand woman, and was sent to kill Luke, and then I believe there was a Luke clone that she killed instead, and that kind of broke her programming, and then that's how she fell in love with Luke and married him and all the sort of business. This is what I think I know.
I hate it when you fall in love with the person you kill.
I know, it's so inconvenient, right? It creates a really weird dynamic in the relationship. It's like, well, you did try to kill me, so it's... Yeah, it's fun, but I don't mind new marquees coming out. New marquees is always fun because we tend to get a new buff or a new debuff or a new mechanic with every new kit, right? So I always find it exciting, even if I'm not personally invested in the character that's coming out. Like, yeah, cool, why not? Invent Drogon, make up a character. Let's see his kit.
More diversity is always good. It's what keeps the game interesting.
For sure. It's what keeps CLS alive and viable in this game. There's always new kits that come. It's like, oh, okay, this is another booster for CLS. We got Chewie, and then we got Chewpio. No, we got Chewie, then we got C-3PO, and then we got Chewpio. It's like that kit, that team, that CLS team has had long-term viability, I feel. Just like Night Sisters, man. Night Sisters have remained relevant for a long time, and now they've got Merrin, and Merrin is upping their game and even beating stuff like Jabba these days, which is crazy to me. I know it's helped by a datacron, but still bring viability. So I'm all for new kits. Bring it on, CG. I want to see what you got.
So who do you think the next GL will be?
That's tough, man. And I don't even think CG knows. Hence the survey they put out recently.
Survey.
Right?
Like I said, lack of
we're running
creativity
dry on
lately.
ideas. Help us out. I think,
that was the most awkward thing. But it's good they asked.
Oh, yeah, for sure. No, I like that because it shows that, at least they're engaging with the community a bit. Now, what does typically happen with GLs is we've had, light side, dark side, or they've come together or whatever, and this latest one will tie us up on light side and dark side GLs with Leia coming. But we still have the neutral tag. We could push into that a little bit. I would very much like to see a Revan Reborn that utilizes a balance of light side and dark side. Like, I'd love to see him take Jedi Knight Revan and Darth Revan. Must have those in the same team at the same time. And then throw in, I don't know, maybe original Basti and Basti Fallen. Have something weird like that happen. And have him be a neutral tag, but benefits off having a balanced light side, dark side, Jedi, Sith setup. Give me something like that. That would be cool.
That would be so interesting. That immediately brings up visions of like in original Star Trek, there was this race of aliens that like right down the front of their face, one half was white, one half was black. And I'm just thinking of like Revan's team like that.
Yeah. I mean, I want them to do something different, just mix it up a little bit, because we could certainly go back and we could say, I don't know, can we get Boss Nass leading a bunch of Gungans or something like that? I'm not invested in it, but they've got the option to do it. Could they do something, with the prequel content around, the mother and the father and Aboleth and all this sort of stuff? There's enough content in Star Wars lore that they can make something happen, right?
It's absolutely huge. Like in this, in researching Nisa a little bit, like I had no idea who she was, other than I bought this decorative statue about a year ago from some Japanese artist. I wish I could remember the name, but it's a ATST, and it's getting taken down by a swarm of Ewoks, and up at the top of it is Nisa stabbing it with a dagger. It's really cute. But that's the only iteration of her I've ever heard of. So when they announced her, I was like, what? Okay, who? Wow. So I jumped online and I found like she's been in like 5 or 6 books, couple comics, the cartoon series. Lucasfilm Studios just confirmed that this little Ewok that looks like her in the 80s cartoon is her. I was like, oh, good. I'm glad we're doing that now. But so you're right. The lore is huge. There's so much happens between comics, books, novels, animes, games, and things that 99% of us aren't even aware is out there.
Yeah, for sure. Who would you like to see as a GL, if anybody?
As a GL, I've never played Knights of the Old Republic, which I know right there some people want to unsubscribe. Sorry. But yeah, I've never played it, so I have no connection to Revan or Revan Reborn. I don't see that happening, not yet, just because like I like the monetization opportunity for Old Republic isn't there, because Darth Revan, especially now being Relic 9 requirement for Leviathan, it's like too many people will already be chasing that high relics, so they'd have to put out, I think, multiple marquees, and I think Sorty kind of pointed to that. Especially since she doesn't really have a home anymore.
When Sorty came out, I was like, next GL is going to be Revan. It has to be. Like, why would they just make up some random Old Republic? And then it never happened.
Yeah, I made a video, actually, and I explicitly said, I think that was a title. It was like, next GL, it's not Revan Reborn, sorry. But, yeah. No, I mean, I think that for the community's sake, that would be good, because that there is such a following, but they definitely need to expand the character base for Old Republic or Sith. I was actually just thinking about that today, though. There was another faction. There's nobody in what faction is that? So we've got Resistance, Rebels. We've got Jedi. I can't remember. I don't think it'll be a Separatist either.
No. I can't see it being a separatist because we've already got like the higher ups of the separatist army, right? We've already got stuff like Newt. We've already got Dooku. There's Palpatine, unless they went for Chancellor Palpatine, I guess. But
yeah, okay. So Bad Batch, no. Bounty Hunter, no. Clone Droid Empire. I could see another Empire GL. It makes sense to me. Although I think that they will try to break away from the movies for the next GL because all of them have been from feature films. So Empire, we've got Lord Vader, right? But he, when I think of Empire, and I think if I go ask my mom or my grandma or whoever, of course they're not playing the game, but if I say, hey, name somebody who was in the Empire, you don't get Lord Vader. You get Darth Vader or Palpatine, but you get stormtroopers and all the different troopers. So I could definitely see another Empire GL, maybe like a trooper style, but I don't know who that would be.
Well, a lot of people have theorized that we'll get a new Grand Admiral Thrawn, with Ahsoka coming out, and he is Empire.
Yeah, so that makes sense. But no, I think it'll be Mandalorian. Now that's what I was thinking.
Oh,
of.
Mando.
And
okay.
I actually don't want it to be Mando. We already have two versions of him. I think they just need to wait and see, especially since Mando has I'm trying to remember the name of the actor. What is his name? Do you know his name?
Pedro Pascal.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of rumors about his level of satisfaction and happiness in doing the role. And so it has been acknowledged that at the end of the last season of Mandalorian, his screen time was reduced and Bo-Katan has been deliberately built up as a replacement. Now, we don't know if that's going to continue. But if that show continues to rebuild Mandalore, then it would make sense to see a GL standing over Mandalore with a Mandalorian team to back her up, him or her.
Sure.
So I could see that, but I think
I'd be down with that.
I
think
an Empire GL is more likely, and Thrawn sounds good. I think there's just the Empire has so much to offer, and there's so many more.
So much we're still missing, right?
Yeah, and especially the new Ahsoka show.
Yeah.
There's new Inquisitors coming to that show. There's going to be a lot of stuff in there. I'm really hyped about Ahsoka.
Did you watch the trailers for Ahsoka?
The first one, I have willfully avoided the second one just because I don't want any more spoilers.
Yeah,
so
I feel that. But watching it, I was decidedly hyped. I think they've done a very good job of making that show look amazing. Just from the trailers alone, I was like, I really want to see this film. This film is not a film, series. But apparently they are doing a film afterwards, right?
Yeah. So. And then I don't know if you've kept up with, Skeleton Crew? That one looks exciting to me.
No, I haven't actually. Yeah, that's with Jude Law, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, Skeleton Crew is basically following a ship that gets lost. Has only 2 adults and a handful of children, and they're defining it basically as Stranger Things in space. So people are thinking it might have live action Night Sisters and other just funky stuff. But they're saying that despite having kids as some of the prominent roles, they're like, this will not be a full family safe series.
Yeah,
they're going dark with it.
That's
and then
cool.
same with
I
Acolyte.
love Stranger Things. So.
Yeah.
Acolyte, I haven't seen anything about actually, but I haven't been following up on Skeleton Crew either, so I wasn't aware of what the theme was. Just give me Star Wars content, man. I'll watch any and all of it. It's good. It's good. Oh, baby. All right. Okay. I think we'll wrap it up now, Gerbil. But do you want to give us a down low of what you've got coming up? You said you were working on a video at the minute.
Yeah. So, the next video I'm posting, maybe tonight, probably not, maybe tomorrow. It's basically just a summary of a lot of what we already talked about, but who is Nisa? How does she fit into the Ewok squad? What is the kit synergies? So I don't do kit reveals, but I do like to go through and break down how the kit synergizes directly with other members of the squad. Because we can all read the kit and go, oh, it provides potency up. Okay, but what does that mean relative to the other members of the faction? So I'm going to break that down and try to explore who she's probably going to work best with. After that, I'm probably going to get another speculation Leia video, and then I have a really crazy farming strategy for newish accounts that a bunch of people have been telling me that they're pursuing and enjoying, and they want more. So I'm looking at that. But yeah, like I said, I just throw out stuff that I think is intriguing, and it basically is the road less traveled. So check me out on YouTube, the Gerbil. I may or may not
100%.
post, but you'll notice my neon green and pink thumbnails. They're very distinctive.
Yes,
I like
I've
them.
noticed them myself. Well, thank you so much, Gerbil. I'm going to make sure I'm going to go and watch your home one video beating the Leviathan. I want to check that one out, see if I can get some value out of that, and I'll probably see if I can make it work without the Millennium Falcon, because that'd be top tier. Anyway, I want to thank you.
Be a lot of
thank
fun.
you so much. Yeah.
Oh man, thanks for having me. It's been great.
Yeah, cool. So this will be a segment in my podcast that I'm recording later on this evening, but it should be live on Monday evening. Well, for you, it would be Monday morning, I guess. So if you feel like watching the rest of the show, do listen in. Cool.
Will do.
Thank you so much, Gerbil. Peace out, man.
Oh, you're welcome, man. Thank you again.
Oh my God, that was the fastest few moments of my life. I know it was an hour, but in real terms, it was a couple of seconds. Hi, Mr. Ranger J. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. What's going on, brother?
Oh, well, same old, same old. It's that wonderful time of the week known as Sunday, where all anxious
Nice
people
and quiet,
get to worry
peaceful
about...
day.
well, yeah,
we just finished TB and the raid's rounding up, and GAC's getting ready to kick off tonight or tomorrow, and
yeah, the finals, man. How's your GAC week been? I don't think I've caught up with you on your GAC performance.
I mean, I'm 1-1, or no, yeah, I'm 1-1. So the first round I lost barely. Second one I was no contest. They did 10 battles. They just gave up immediately, and we one-shot full cleared them.
Nice.
So we'll see. It'd be interesting to see. I mean, as I always say, GAC for me is just a thing now. I enjoy it mainly because of the community and the interaction with the community, and just having fun doing it for them, and being a little silly and goofy. And because I always end up 5-4, 6-3, but I'm in Kyber 2. I'm not going to get any higher no matter what I do. I'd have to go 8-1, 8-1, and I'm just not.
Oh man, it's brutal.
I'm just not going to. So I'm at Kyber 2, get my crystals, get my victories, and and just use whatever material. Yeah, just get what I get from the GAC toward my farms.
Last week, I jumped up into Kyber 1 by winning I won the first 2 rounds of that week, and I knew I was going to lose the finals. So I got promoted in round 2. I lost the finals and go straight back down into Kyber 2. And honestly, I don't care, man. I don't care.
No.
It's like it doesn't feel any fundamentally different to me playing in Kyber 1 to the top end of Kyber 2. I'm missing out on 20 crystals a day and some extra crystals when I get a win, but if I let this bother me, if I let that shit piss me off, I will never be happy. So I'm just going to sit there and be happy. You know what I mean?
You just can't overcome the squish. You have to just go ham. So it is what it is. It's for me GAC because they really haven't done much with it in a long time, and it's just kind of a thing. You go in there, and with Datacrons, you just kind of roll the dice and see what happens, and get what you can get out of it. That's the way I treat TW for us in our guild the same way. I mean, place all the defense, and I'll go on offense. I'll do my battles. If we win, great. More stuff. If we lose, great. I still get stuff, so I'm not overly bothered.
I actually care more about TW than I do about GAC, I think, and that's not because I actually like the game mode. I don't dislike TW. I think it's perfectly enjoyable. I find it frustrating when you're just waiting for guild members to attack, and you just say, "We need to clear this wall, man. I got to go to bed." I find that frustrating, but I enjoy the premise of it. That part's fun for me. GAC is just, it is what it is. I like going in there. I like having a bit of fun, enjoying it, like you said, with your community. Yeah. Because, these days, we get a good solid turnout for GAC on the streams, and I know you guys do as well. So it's always fun to have that back and forth with the chat, sit back there and just see how boned you are. Or, sometimes, I admit, I'll pull my hands up. Sometimes Scribble loses his cool and goes 100%
I did Friday. That new Galactic Challenge, man, had me just going, you gotta be kidding me, man.
It was gross.
You gotta be kidding me. It was so gross. And then, get right into GAC. The GAC was wild because we didn't lose any battles, so I was cool, calm, and collected. But they said, if you turn the Galactic Challenge, I looked at it, why? And it's like, why don't you go try it? I'm like, okay. few battles later, I was like, just every other word was F-bomb and just going off on CG. Like, how lazy are you with this crap, man?
You're
Seriously.
like, nope. It's just
so
disgusting,
bad.
man. You know, like they got their
I
stacking health,
couldn't beat it
stacking
at
offense,
10.
and constant reviving, and you have to do it with a team that has no means of permanent death. So it's like if you mess that shit up and you kill them too many times without getting one in a big AoE, you know, killing 3 of them maybe, then they're just going to be unkillable, and they're going to be hitting you for like 300,000 damage on a basic. You know, okay.
They ramp up too quickly.
It's just gross.
You know,
well, I mean,
I beat it at tier 8. I'll take my tier 9 box. Yeah, I'll just take my tier 9 box, get my stuff, and as I said, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm still going to let CG get it because I mean, I'm just so tired of some of this lazy crap that they're doing.
That is genuinely what I would recommend everybody do. Like, it's not worth stressing yourself out over a GC for the minimal rewards difference that you get between, you know, say like a gold box and a red box for that event. Like, you don't even need the second best rewards. You can go 2 or 3 tiers down and you're still earning 90% of the rewards. It's not worth red boxing most of the time. And I say that as a guy that deliberately does red box videos. You know, I do videos for GC because it's just part of my content. You know, that's one of the things I do. That's why I red box 90% of the time, you know? The only times I don't red box is when I physically can't, because I might not have, like Ewoks, for example. I don't have the gear in them, man. Actually, sometimes you can still do that, but...
the next one coming up is Tuskens. I'm like, okay, that's a tier 8 or tier 9. I'm not even messing around with that. You know, it's like, no, moving on. Yep. And I'm slowly farming Tusken Chieftain, but he was one of the ones I skipped because I'm like, not interested in Tuskens, and you know, Zori's almost 7 stars, but I've been slow farming her and Tusken Chieftain. Now Warrior's done, and they're all ready to rock and roll. But you kind of have the game plan in this game. Even if you spend, you still have to have a game plan.
Of course.
And for me, it was Jedi Survivor Cal, and I got him, and he's awesome. And then Leviathan, which is 7 stars, not so awesome. I'm hopeful. And then I'm about to finish Relicking my Night Sisters, and that's the plan. And now the rest, I'm just going to chill and just get the stuff for GLA. I'm already working on Rex. He's 5, almost 6 stars. It's like, okay, take my crystals, get shipments, you know, and then just start hoarding for the next 2 months.
I'm basically following the same path, but I'm probably like, I don't know, a month behind you in that setup, right? Because right now I'm farming for Jedi Knight Cal. I know you got him first time round. I'm farming for him. I've just finished off Leviathan, but only to 6 stars. I'll get it 7 stars next month, and I'm fine with that. That's totally cool by me. But then I will be rounding out that Jedi Knight Cal team. I'll be investing in Malicos when he comes out because he looks frankly ridiculous. Like, just absurdly powerful. It gets me weak at the knees reading that guy's kit. So I'll be doing that, but then it's straight onto GL layer for me as well. You know, man, that's the plan. That's the and
you're not going to get Cal.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm farming Jedi Knight Cal
Oh,
requirements
you're farming
right now. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing right now. Jedi Knight Cal requirements, but they're, you know, I think they're all like 4 or 5 stars apart from Cal Kestis, who's like R6 because he's a low energy Cantina farm. You can knock that out in 2.5 weeks. You know, it's a pretty quick farm. So I've got him basically ready. I'm going to take him to R7 once I've finished my my sub goal. We had our sub goal on the weekend, so I've got to take my Kanan to R9. Yeah.
I don't know why y'all do that to yourselves, man.
Hey, man.
So one thing I will not do is
stage of Phoenix, I'm quite happy about it.
Well, we go about different ways of how we have fun with the community and stuff. I'll do shoeys, but I'll be damned if they're going to tell me the Relic 9 cup. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Because I know how ruthless they can be. They'd have me do ETH, cough, and cup. I'm like, no.
Well, because
I'm not going to fall for that.
We hit our sub goal on Friday for Kanan, and you know, when I do this, as soon as you hit the sub goal, we decide the next one, right? And and Bodhi Rook was the one that nearly took it, but we managed to win out with Captain Rex. So I'm pretty happy, to be honest. Like, if I got a sub goal for an R9 Captain Rex, I'm happy about that, man. Especially since I've already done Kanan. Well, I'm doing Kanan. I've done Chopper. I've done Zeb. You know, Hera's already R5 thanks to Profundity Farm. Getting an R9 Captain Rex to round it off, man, that's a full team, baby. I'm happy about that.
It's not bad. It's Rex with the Phoenix is actually pretty solid now. It's quite a good team. And they're pilots. And so,
Exactly.
you're getting something out of that. But yeah,
and Captain Rex is also an R7 requirement for GL Leia, so it's like, it's barely. I know R7 to R9 is still a pretty heavy invest, I will be honest, but it's not like I wouldn't be relicking this guy anyway, right? So, and in TW with the Omicron over there, you can beat Reva with Phoenix. So that's
solid.
nice.
A heavy investment, but yeah, you can do it.
Heavy investment, yeah.
Yeah, you need
absolute heavy investment.
But it's like the Night Sisters. I mean, I'm investing in them mainly because I've got Marin. I'm going to put the 2 Omicrons on, but it's a really good team, and you see it in action. And I was like, that Secrets and Shadows, yeah, I'm sick of looking at it. It's the only assault battle I don't have done. I'm like, okay, we're getting this. We're getting this knocked out. I just want to sim it. I don't want to, because the only one I can't sim. Even the Inquisitor one's done. I'm like, I got to do something. So I'm like, all right, let's get them relic. Let's get in there. Let's get dirty. And I'm going to 60 them and get that team in there. But yeah, for the most part, I would say that the characters, minus a few bugs here and there, have been pretty solid. The Jedi Cal event, the team, the UFAs, Marin, they're all fantastic. I mean, Saul's a little bit, but Tarful actually is a surprisingly really good team with the Wookiees. It's really frustrating because where we're at in the community right now is you look at all the stuff they've been doing for characters and like Jedi, the Jedi Survivor event, it was Fallen Order, but I mean, they did great job with that event. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. The team's really good. You can beat it at 12, and you get really good characters out of it.
Man, that's a gimme.
It's really nice. And I look at that, I'm going, great job, CG. And I really enjoyed that. And that was a lot of fun. Keep doing more of that. And then I look at Leviathan, like, there's got to be 2 different teams doing this. I can't explain how you can have such a wonderful release of characters for Legendary that is so well done. And the kit and Jedi Cal is just, he's so fun to play with. Such a monster.
I can't wait, dude. I really can't wait to have him.
And then you look over at Leviathan, like, what is the disconnect here? How does this go so well? And some of the other stuff CG's doing, and then this is such a disaster. It's a head scratcher for sure.
It can't be the case of, fleet's just boring, because I understand not everybody likes fleet battles. I don't particularly like fleet battles, but they can't have got it like that dichotomy is so large. How can they get one thing so right, the other thing so drastically wrong, and it be the same? The same company pushing it out, because as far as I know, Jedi Knight Cal didn't release with a boatload of bugs as long as my arm.
No, I can't think of hardly any. It's been pretty solid. About it. No, he's a fantastic character. I've really enjoyed it, and he's usable in many teams, especially with the Jedi. So, and I've been having a lot of fun just running him with Jedi Knight Revan and just destroying things.
The biggest oversight I've heard about Jedi Knight Cal is that the unlock mission for Zepho, you're tied into using a Seer leadership. So if you've got his Omicron leadership, you're not getting the use out of it. And that's not even a bug. That's more of just an oversight, right?
Yeah, but I didn't really have any. But I didn't. The event's it's more thematic. There's a little bit of a puzzle on one of the missions, but if you figure out, like, once you get it, it's easy. It's more just having fun and just reliving. If you played Fallen Order, you have a real good they were really good incorporation of the stages in that game into Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, and I thought that it was really well done. I mean, and so we're both fair. I mean, I'm always fair with CG. When they get stuff right, I'm going to defend them and I'm going to give them praise, and they definitely deserve praise for Cal. But when they shit the bed like they did with Leviathan, I'm going to be vitriol and just be like, "Come on, man, we expect more." You do.
It's just disappointing, man. It's just disappointing.
That's the thing. It's so disappointing.
It's not even that I want this fleet to come in and just dominate. It's not even that. It's just when you set the expectation to be that, because CG is out there. Like, their posts literally say it's the best. They say it's going to be the new king. They say it's going to supplant Executor and Profundity, and it's just not.
Yeah, they set that expectation. That did not come from the community. We didn't set any of this expectation on that goddamn ship, and they did. So you got to deliver. It's a good lesson. Don't overpromise what you can't deliver, because when people are spending time and money to go for that and it affects the other portions of their game, they're going to be pretty pissed, and they have every right to be, because you blew it, not us, you know. So
actually, I need to pick your brains, Ranger. Since we've just gone through TB. Now I've heard that the Leviathan is absolutely god awful at the dark side fleet missions. Is that true?
I tried it on both. It got obliterated. I got
what is
absolutely
CG thinking with the balancing of these fleet missions, man? Like
I don't know,
maybe
man.
this is on me. Maybe this is on me for my expectation. Seeing that super hard dark side fleet mission, I was like, oh, they've done that because the new capital ship we're coming is going to go out and stomp it. You know, that's going to be like an incentive. Get Leviathan, it stomps the dark side CMs.
That was the expectation that it would help with that fleet because
is it just nuts? Is it like just doesn't work?
It just gets obliterated. Like the best fleet is still the Empire fleet with your standard lineup with Bomber and all them, but that's RNG, and I've beaten it before with that fleet, but it's straight RNG. Depends on you know everything that happens with that.
I've literally beat it once, and it felt
I think I beat
luck.
it 2 or 3 times. The other times I just and I'm counting out of both those battles, phase 1 and 2.
Sure.
But I've got a victory. But outside of that, I went in with Leviathan both times. I told the guild I was going to do it, especially at 7 stars, and no contest. Absolutely no contest. It was an absolute slaughter. I mean, they need to underclock that damn. There is something screwy going on with those Geonosians on there. I think they're getting the buff. Karth told me that they're getting the buff from the planet and stuff, and it makes them do crazy stuff. Again, and so that's really screwing things over, which they haven't addressed. But even then, the ship, that's one problem. But the Leviathan being as buggy and as poo-poo as it is right now, it has no chance. I mean, you could get lucky. You could get good RNG. I actually did, and I was fighting the fight, and actually it was going okay. And then one round of them just hitting hard, it was like, okay, well, that's enough. That
just came over.
You know. So you just can't.
And let's not forget that in phase 1, the dark side, you're locked into using Scythe in the starting lineup as well. So that's going to immediately mess with the Leviathan. It's like, okay. Well,
I did that one with Leviathan just to see would anything change from the fight, because I already know what Empire will do in that fight, and it's not very much with Scythe, unless you get the right RNG. The true was phase 2 when I went in there with just a full Leviathan fleet and was like,
they've just got way too much damage output. Like you start that and they just go, and you just like ships just drop like flies, and you're like, oh, okay. I guess I just know I don't get to have ships. That's not something I'm allowed to have.
It's really strange too.
Choice.
If you look at the fights in the mix zone and the light side battles, they're pretty well balanced. I mean, once in a while you get some bad RNG, but for the most part, I'd say 90-95% of the time I beat that easily. And it's well balanced. You have to know what to attack, and but outside of that, it's pretty straightforward. You can use Executor in the middle. You can use Profundity, Negotiator on light side.
Negotiator is actually pretty solid for
it's very solid.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually,
which is good.
So those fleets will do really good work
capabilities for like the smaller guilds to actually progress a little bit. Those that haven't got their profundities yet, they've got negos and stuff like that, and they can go in and still beat those CMs. And the fleet CMs are worth so much more than the ground missions. So it's like it's nice that they've got that option. Except Darkseid, it just gets screwed up. I don't understand the thought process from CG on that. I got to be honest, it just doesn't make sense.
Well, luckily,
to me.
The phase 1 and phase 2 of TB, you can massively overcome that with because those 2 phases with the GP, you reach a certain threshold, you'll be fine. Even if you don't do that, if you do some other fights, you're going to be fine. So it's not that big a deal. It's more of just the frustration of like, I'm thinking of guilds that are climbing up and they start working on this stuff to go beat these TBs that are getting less stars. What do they focus on? And basically, you got to tell them, don't worry about Darkseid right now. It's a mess. Don't even bother. You're just giving yourself a headache. Go work on the light side and have your Executor and stuff, or the fleets you get those 2 done, and your whole guild does those battles. I mean, that's the majority of the fights that you need to do for those phases, and you'll be fine for your star levels and stuff, because At this point, dark side battles, I just like for the fleets. That is, it's like
the fleets are just and it's only in a handful of the fleets as well, because there isn't any fleet battles in Phase 3. I want to say, and is it Phase 3 and Phase 4? Yeah, so it's half the time they're not even there, and I don't know. It's confusing.
And that terrifies me for what's going to happen for Phase 5, because we're working our way to that right now. It's like. I'm not using Leviathan. Why would I? I'm going to get slaughtered. If I can even beat the other two, I'm just looking at that fleet going, I'm going to get killed.
Yeah, maybe by the time that comes out, Leviathan's bugs will be fixed. Maybe they buff it a little bit. I mean, I don't care if they just give Leviathan a literal clause in its kit that improves its performance in TB. Like, just give me that. Give me something. Give me some value to this ship. Goddamn. I don't know. Obviously, that's not all.
We're going to have a big. We should have a big news week this week.
Hopefully.
We're going to get the new Datacron set. So we'll see what nonsense is going to be in those, and we'll shake our heads and just throw our hands up and just deal with it like we always do.
So long as there's no evasion in there, and there's nothing that stupid.
They haven't brought Dodge evasion back. Knock on wood. Let's hope they keep that trend. This defense crap right now is really overwhelming for some players. The other thing is we should get. I'm gonna say high possibility, although not. I can't go 100%. The new character and the next requirements for Leia will come out this week.
That's quite likely. Drogon, right? Captain Drogon. We'll probably get his
Drogon will come out. Yeah, and the next round of requirements.
Yeah.
So that'll be coming out this week as well. So yeah, we'll get some news this week. Last week was quiet because there really wasn't much for them to do. And then I'm hoping that the start of, or if not all of, the Leviathan fixes will start coming in.
Well, I think this last week CG has been hiding in a bunker trying to avoid the collateral damage from the Leviathan fallout more than anything. They're just like, oh my god, it's raining fire. But hey, maybe now, like you said, they're going to be rolling out some fixes. I hope so, because I think they owe the player base that much. But yeah, I'm excited to see new requirements for GL Leia though. That should be spicy.
It's going to be interesting because I don't really think there's going to be anything drastic in that. We already know the new character. I think for this one we'll get 4 other characters that we won't be surprised by. That'll be some kind of relic requirement. What's going to be interesting about GL Leia? Now, I was talking with Aldous on this on the Jedi Academy on Saturday. Okay. The third round of requirements is what I've got my eyes on, because what I'm waiting to see. Because here's the thing: if you look at the Jabba GL event last year, it was a self-contained team. You had Jabba and the 3 new characters, and then the 5th was, a flex. You could put whatever you want. You can go with Boba Fett, you can go with Embo, Greedo's really good in there. Hell, you can go Gamorrean Guard and go 2 tanks. I've seen that.
The little piggy that could.
Yeah, poor little piggy. But this, so far, the 2 new characters that are required, Rex and Kanisa, we know are not going with Leia. They're not even. Kanisa's Ewoks and Rex is definitely Phoenix. So we have the other new character that they created. So that's one. But I just had this sneaky suspicion in the back of my head, which wouldn't surprise me, that we're getting 2 more marquees to have the GL Leia team as part of it. That's one possibility, but we were talking about this also on the Jedi Academy. What if they're going in a new direction with Leia, where she's the 3v3 GL? Because the raid's going to be 3v3.
God.
And
no.
So no new marquees, but it'll be certain characters that you'll use in there. I don't know if CG is going to go that route. That seems like that would be less revenue for them.
I think.
But it's a possibility. It makes sense.
It's a possibility. They can certainly do it. I think, especially after the Leviathan, how well that was received by the community, I think they would be very brave to say, our first 3v3 only GL. People will be like, excuse me, fucking what?
I mean, yeah, it'll be needed for the raid, but we've seen with the current raid, that's going to fade away. And then just a GL for 3v3, you're not going to convince the community on that. They want it and I just don't think that's the thing, because they've been, was the latest kit, I can't remember, that had both 3v3 and 5v5 as part of the Omicron
Rex.
and kits.
Yeah.
Rex, right? So it was
Captain
Rex. I didn't want to say without being sure, but that seems more the direction they're going. I cannot see them not bringing in 2 more marquees. You know what I'm saying?
I think there's been data mines that are suggesting that 2 more marquees are coming, 2 new marquees as well as Drogon. I believe that was already found in the data mines for the additional character bundles, which obviously subject to change, whatever.
Because it's in there doesn't mean it's being released now.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's operate with due caution here, but it would suggest that 2 additional marquees are still coming, and given the fact that we're building towards GL layer, it would suggest that they are probably either going to be requirements for or be needed in the layer team. So I don't know, man. I really hope they don't go a 3v3 route. I think the player base would flip shit.
I would flip shit because it's like, what's the point? You know,
if you're farming for a top-end character, You want something that's gonna, like, GLs typically just work. Like, you throw them in a game mode, and they're pretty dependable, they're pretty reliable. They're gonna mess stuff up, right? If they suddenly start restricting that power, even in 3s, I mean, look at C, man. He's basically a 2-man GL. It's him and Watt, and they're just there repping Team Sith. I know there are other combinations that you can use and stuff like that, especially if you've got more relic levels and everything like that. But 90% of the player base just throws C with Watt, and they take whatever they're going to take, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that the player base will be happy if you, like, write it into the kit. This character must only have 2 allies, or this character must be in 3v3 or whatever.
I think it would be a bad move in my opinion, because this game is so predicated on 5 character teams. It just, whether it's Conquest, TB, TW, the raid. Now the new raid will be 3 characters, but forget that nonsense, CG. Don't do it. Just like for GAC, make it mainly 5v5, because that's where we move most of our teams is in 5v5. Don't limit it to 3v3, because I'm telling you, 3v3 is not the most popular GAC mode. You can tell by the number of players that actually participate in it. It's just a bad move. It's not good. Don't do it. We're just trying to save you the backlash, and it'll be ginormous if you do this, CG. I'm just telling you.
I don't think CG wants more smoke. Not after Leviathan. I don't think they want to catch more flack. You know what I mean? So I'm really hoping that if that is their intention, that they backtrack all the way back into Narnia with that business and close the wardrobe, as it were. I ain't got no time for that at all.
Just eat Turkish delight, live in. No, nobody wants that crap. Oh yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what not this next round of requirements said, but we'll see if the 2 new marquees come in. What are they? First of all, what are their kits looking like, and if that'll be an indication for us on what they're going to do. So, and 4 marquees in total, 1 more marquee than Jabba was. I don't have a problem with.
Neither do I, to be honest. Especially seeing as the
it's a good rounded
we've had
team
so far.
I'm good.
Oh yeah, if the team's good, it's great, right? I'm down. But I mean, like, what we've had required so far, it's not been like out of this world. It's not like we're looking at Leviathan and we're seeing 2 R9s and a bunch of R7s and then 2 R5s, right? We've seen R7s, R5s, even R3s, I think, wouldn't they?
Yeah, it's going to be like Java. I think they've gone smart about that, because what it allows you to do is to unlock the GL sooner rather than later. Like, they learned their lesson from Lord Vader. Lord Vader is still a good GL, but the requirements are so crazy for him that he's one of the later GLs that I will recommend for someone to go for, because it is such a sink of resources with the relics on that thing. It's the highest relic requirement of any GL by leaps and bounds. It's not even close. So with Jabba, we were really pleasantly surprised that the relic requirements
I was so surprised, because there's footage of me saying, Ranger, when we were getting the GL Jabba Rex, I was like, I'm waiting for that R9 Rec to drop, because these Recs are so easy. We haven't had Recs this easy since C. I was just waiting for it, and the last round came out and I was like, wait, what? This is, dare I say, this is kind of CG. I know it had 3 marquees, but I mean, come on, it wasn't like 1600 Kyrotech just on the Bad Batch that you needed to do for Lord Vader. It was a surprise.
Team.
Exactly, that too.
And And of course, the caveat being, yeah, you can unlock the team at lower relics with the requirements and everything, and get the GL and work on the GL, because they know you're going to want it for the raid, and you're going to have to take it to relic 7 and 8 to be efficient in the raid. So it's a smart move from CG. You don't really care about the raid, or your guild's not quite there, but you're unlocking the GL. You're so happy because you've got the GL. But if you are in those higher tier guilds that are working on stuff like the new raid and things, then they're going to push the envelope and just take those characters up to higher relic anyway. So it's a good balance between people that want to go for these newer GLs and those that like me. I have all the GLs and everything. So for me, it's like, okay, so for me, I'll automatically will take them apart because I know the new raid's going. You start thinking ahead, but it gives that flexibility for both sides of the coin to, one, just unlock it and have it, and two, go higher with it because our guild's at that level where we're going to be attacking a new raid. So I like it. I think it's a smart move from CG.
It definitely makes sense, because people are almost invariably going to always want to invest more in a GL team anyway. They GLs just by the unique, right? The GL unique always operate better at higher levels, and then there's always some form of mastery stacking or ramping that a GL benefits from, that almost always benefits off having high relic levels. So they know that they don't need to bake that into the requirements, because people are going to do that if they're serious about it anyway. They're going to most likely do it anyway. So it makes total sense to me. I get it. And it's not like we're getting 2 GLs a year anymore, are we? We're getting 1 GL a year, which means it's more manageable. Although we are, CG is throwing multiple desirable farms at us throughout the year now, smaller farms, but more of them, right? Like we've had Leviathan, Jedi Knight Cal. We've also had, help me out here, there's something else that I'm missing.
It's pretty much Leviathan, the same cadence that was
Night
like
Sisters
last
and everything,
year.
right? Yeah, for real. It is,
it's been start of the year into the legendary, into that whole thing with a few things mixed in. Conquest is going on that's going to where it's needed to go, but then you go right into the summertime, which is the ship, and through end of summer, and then you start getting to the new GL, the end of summer into fall. The only thing that we're just not sure about, and we know it's going to come, is a new legendary. For what? First year was Cal, last year was Dr. Aphra. It kind of like they're using that holiday time, their third quarter, to have some flexibility. Like they have certain releases for the first 9 months of the year that are like, this is what we have to do, and then they're like, okay, let's do something different for this time period here. And so I like it following the same. And I do like the 1 GL a year. Because if you played this game long enough, we all remember the 2 GL releases. It was like, who do you go for? Which one's better?
There's a lot of pressure to try and get both as well, right? It's like, obviously you focus on one at a time because you don't be that idiot that tries to farm both at the same. I've seen people do it. I've seen people like, I just need 1 relic level on 2 different requirements to start farming 2 GLs. And I'm like, why would you do this to yourself? Like, why you're not just like doubling the length of the farm. It's increasing it longer because you're not gaining the benefit from a GL you could have got 3 months ago. Like that's 3 months worth of wasted GL. I've seen people do it, and it boggles my mind. But yeah, I prefer 1 GL a year. It feels more manageable that way, right?
And it helps you focus a little bit more, and so I'm okay with it. I like the cadence that they're on. So the releases cadence itself, I don't have a problem with. I think it's spaced out well enough. Marquees and conquests where you need them. Main focus in the beginning of the year, just early spring, is that first legendary character like Cal was this year, Grand Inquisitor was last year, into what we know is going to be a new meta fleet of some sort in the summertime, and then getting into the GL through the fall gives people time to work on the new GL and get that up and running as we get ready for the new raid by the end of the year to start it next year with the new legendary coming out, that you can kind of decide whether you want that legendary or not. Is it needed? So I it's good cadence.
It's the holiday period legendary as well. It's usually something, should we call it more flavorful, I guess, is how, because it's not usually based on current events so much, right? Because we had like
very much
Starkiller, right?
Starkiller's legend, but Dr. Aphra, people don't realize that she's actually canon. she's a canon character, so are the droids. So I think it's just, what is something outside of the normal, what you think Star Wars can we go with and have fun with? And there's so much stuff that they could do with that. So, it'll be interesting to see.
I'd be quite happy if we get Galen Marek. Get us the light side Star Killer. I'd be down for that. Like, throw it at me, baby. I want to see it. But there's loads that they can choose from, man. I'm hoping that it's something different, something out there, like Star Killer and like Aphra. Nobody was sat in the game thinking, oh yeah, we're going to get Star Killer this quarter. Nobody was thinking we're going to get Aphra now. It was just like, hey, do you know this Legends character, or do you know this Expanded Universe character? We're going to bring him as a legendary, and it's kind of cool. I like it. It's different.
There's so much.
I think those marquees were actually pretty damn cool units as well. So
it just gives them an opportunity to kind of flex out of what we, with all the current stuff that's out there. We know probably next year we're going to get, with the shows, at least the new Ahsoka, Thrawn. We know what the new Ahsoka series coming up, and it's usually 6 to 9 months after the release of the show that we start seeing those characters and things of that nature. So it'll be interesting to see which way they go, because if you look at Legends, there is a ton of material that they could pull from all different ways and different timelines and different eras that they could pull and really start either whole new team, where it's like Dr. Aphra contained and you just go in there and kick that ass, or it could be like Star Killer, where you add pieces to some other factions that are legendary that just go into the legendary character that's its own thing for something else. It'll be really cool to see what they're doing.
I tell you what I would quite like to see would be a season 3 Mando Moff Gideon. I'd love to see that guy join the game. That would be a cool legendary. He could round out Imperial remnants. We could have a full team there. Sure, it might have 2 Moff Gideons, but I want to see Moff Gideon in that Beskar armor suit, man. That shit was cool.
Yeah.
That shit was so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And while you're at it, give us Paz Vizsla, because Paz Vizsla is a boss.
They could add Paz, they could add Axe, they could add a whole bunch of more Mandalorians and stuff, and really expand that out. And you'd also add the Bounty Hunter Commandos from Gideon. And there's a lot of characters from.
You could get some Praetorian Guards into the game. I'd love to see some Praetorian Guards. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, they were amazing too. So there's a lot of characters just from that show that, whether you like the show or not, is immaterial. It's just that there's characters that you could add that would start fleshing out some of these factions more, which is always nice when you have flexibility with your roster. That does help. It takes time, but eventually once you get there, it's nice to have the flexibility with these different factions.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm down for it. I've come to accept that I'm not going to be that guy that gets stuff day one. I'm just not. Like, there's too much going on in the game. I'm too far behind as it is, but it doesn't bother me. I know that I'll get it next time. I'll get it the time afterwards, because I can prioritize the farm and I can knock it out then. Just like Slacker will always be the next GL I get. It will never be the current GL I get. It'll be next time. Next time I'll get Slacker. One day.
Someday.
Maybe. Someday. Yeah.
Someday you'll get that.
If CG decides that, in 2 months' time they're closing the game, I will get Slacker. All right? I'll just get him just to say that I did it. I don't care what it takes. We'll do it. But currently it just seems to get pushed back on the old priority list there. Never mind, hey, never mind.
Outside of ships, characters, stuff, it depends. I really take my time with that. Some characters I'll push for fast, like Jedi Cal I went hard into.
Yeah,
Leviathan I went hard into. But he had to give up something else. So what did I give up? I didn't touch Zori and I didn't touch the Tuscans. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. Where I'm at and where our guild's at, it kind of funnels my thinking of what's going to be the best option for the guild. And I knew with the new planet, Cal was going to be important. I knew the Leviathan is just the Leviathan, period. You just need it.
Well, when it's new fleet meta, you kind of have to jump on it. So
you kind of do, because unfortunately we still have crystals associated with the fleet arena. And it is what it is. We didn't expect it to be such a crapshoot. But I mean, it's one of those things. What I think people are more disappointed with is not that the ship is so bad, especially at 7 stars, but this how ineffectual it is at 5 and 6.
Oh yeah.
Because we're so used to having executors and profundities that you got at 5 stars that take your time. They're really good at those that can take on a 7 star and just do good work for you. I think that was the most disappointing thing for people was that couldn't make that big investment. Yeah, like I know you've got yours at 6, and it's like there's a huge comparison between 7 and 6 stars. And I think what CG's starting to do now with this stuff is like they don't want the fleet to be good at 5 stars. You know what I'm saying? They want you to have to go all the way in on this stuff because they're not stupid. They look at the data. They see how many people are running around with 5 and 6 star executors.
If anything, we know CG know how to get money out of people. And 25,000 odd crystals to refresh it to 7 stars day 1. They want people doing that. They want people doing that. So they'll incentivize it. And, you know, locking behind all of the DPS, essentially, behind the 7 stars is definitely one way of doing that. It's definitely one way of doing it.
I mean, they're starting to move to that kind of model. And so we don't, whether you agree with it or not is not the point. The point is that's what it looks like they're starting to do. Just like with characters now, they've moved the goalposts. It used to be 7 stars, certain gear level. Then it became 7 star. I mean, 7 star is just the beginning of a character. The gear is what matters
at this point.
You know, so
the relic levels.
There's a big difference between 11 and 12, and then 12 and relic 1, and then relic 1 to relic 7 and 8 and 9. Yep. So there's these goalposts that they keep pushing with characters, but they want to do the same thing with ships. It's really not that great. You can use it depending on where level you're at. You can use it. It could do some good stuff, but really, you better take it up to what you can get as high as that. Because ideally, this is where they're thinking end game with this stuff.
In the data-driven world we live in right now, it feels like you got to hit a relic 5 almost at a bare minimum to have a usable team. Right now, obviously, it depends on where you are in the game, 5, but. You know, if you don't have 5, you're missing out on half the stats that you're gaining from that datacron, so get it to relic 5. That's kind of like baseline. And it's slowly that I'm sure in a year's time, 2 years' time, maybe we'll see the new baseline is relic 7. And, you know, getting up to relic 10 will be the next big stretch, you know? It's always going to be something. If it's not relic levels, it'll be whatever means of progression they introduce next. Because there's going to be something, always.
Well, it is. I don't see Relic 10 anytime soon because if they release Relic 10 this year, there is going to be riots in the street because they still have not addressed, with the raid system as it is, getting characters now to Relic is not that much of a problem.
No, and it's actually
how
pretty easy.
fast it is depends on how well you are progressing in the raid, but the rewards are strong enough that you can get characters to Relic 0. The problem is that the salvage is the block now. And the salvage is what keeping people from being able to go up quicker because there's only so much signal data and so much stuff you can basically salvage at no matter like how many, just only so much you can do in a day.
Circuit boards are still you know, that's still a bottleneck for a lot of players. And signal data, most people are not refreshing their Cantina energy beyond the 3, right? Because that gets really expensive. The 300s. You know, do all the 3 100s, fine, but then they're asking 200 for refresh. That's out of appetite and out of a lot of people's means to do that regularly. So you're really restricted by how much signal data you can farm in any given period, and you just need so much of it now to make anything work, right?
And the requirements at Relic 7, 8, 9 is a buttload of that crap. I mean, they removed some of the bronzing and stuff, but then you've got the new pieces coming in, which are such a drain. You know, it's I only Relic 8 what I need to. I've got a buttload of Relic 8s, but Relic 9, I hold on to that stuff like it's like, you know, gold. I keep it in my back pocket.
20 Gerbil keypads is like, what, 5,000 crystals alone? And that's without looking at signal data, without looking at the impulse detectors and the Zin Biddles that you also need. And, you know, just like, God, just that one relic level, man.
It's basically doing Relic 8 twice with the new piece. You know, it's like, God almighty. And just if you're looking to salvage it because you're trying to save your crystals for other things like Cantina refreshes for signal data and characters and other things of that nature, it's 250 just to use one piece furnaces to get the pieces you need
who
for
wants to
one relic 9.
250 furnaces? I get it.
I know.
There's going to be people in the end game that just don't have anything left to gear, and for them it's like, yeah, fine, I'll sack those. But they're very few and far between. You know, the people in that position. To me, the idea of sacking 250 furnaces, it just hurts my soul. It's like, oh no, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, if you're going to have a gate and that's your gate, fine. But don't be introducing the next level, because if you try to introduce Relic 10 right now without addressing and pushing like you did with Gear in the Raid 2, where you can get relics much easier now, and you don't address those issues, you're going to turn off a lot of people that are going to say, I've had enough of this crap. Because it's like, I can't even it's hard enough to get Relic 7, let alone 8. Not even in the ballpark of Relic 9, and you want to throw Relic 10 out there, even the Krakens are going to be like, oh my God, really? Because talking to Karth, who we both, who's been on this podcast, and we both know very well, he's like, he can't get them fast enough because he can't get enough material. Even him, a spender, can't get that fast enough. It's like, God almighty.
He's not a small whale. Karth is not a small whale.
Oh, he's gigantic Kraken. Yes, he's...
He's a big boy. He's got his big boy pants on, and he's struggling.
He really does.
But he's also struggling with stuff like aero magnifiers. He can't get that enough because there's just not enough sources for it. He's burnt through all of his, because like someone like me who's been playing in a relatively high level guild now for quite some time, but doesn't have a whole lot of R9s. I've still got loads of those droid brains, aero magnifiers. I've got loads of them because I haven't taken that many characters to Relic 8 and Relic 9. But a person like Karth, who's very, very late game, who's got 70, 80 plus Relic 8s and has got 40 odd Relic 9s, he's drained those resources all the way out the bank, man. It's just, they're hard to come by. You can't build them fast enough. So how's Relic 10 going to address, unless they use a completely separate resource that doesn't touch anything that comes before it, like you don't need any signal data, you don't need any Gerda keypads, you don't need any impulse detectors, no Zimbiddles, nothing. Unless they do it like that and have it isolated, I don't know how they address Relic 10 right now without doubling up the current, supply of gear that we get. It's crazy. I don't know.
I don't know how they do it. I mean...
Most players in the game have got less than 5 Relic 9s, right? Most players in the game do not have Relic 9s coming out the ass. So...
No.
Who needs Relic 10? And how do they incentivize Relic 10 as well? Like, what's it going to be? Is it going to be another bonus for tanks to make them tankier? That seems a little off. Is it going to be more offense? It'll have to be a heck of a lot of offense to make people want to do it.
Yeah, Relic 9 is one of those tricky ones because outside of characters for ships, your GLs and tanks, what are you doing with Relic 9? Unless it's on a stat gap to Relic 10, which should be just overall stats. I mean, I don't know why they went so heavy with tanks for 9. When it could just been beneficial for everything.
I think
especially if you're going to force people eventually to Relic. Yeah, but especially if you're going to force players to have to Relic 9 stuff eventually. Yeah. It's not that much of a gain at Relic 9, so it's really tough, It's like I've got...
I mean, it's just great for the tanks, right? It's like, okay,
it's like taking Darth Revan to Relic 9. I mean, Relic 9 Darth Revan doesn't gain really anything. A little bit of this and a little bit of that, but it's nothing like, say... I had a Relic 9 Malik, and I was fine with that. I mean, even though he doesn't have ship link, it's a tank. That's a big boost.
And he's a chunky boy anyway. That's I'll take that. It's going to be weird. It's going to be weird. And the thing is, just like, a while back when I was thinking about it, I was like, oh, what if they put speed into Relic 10? That suddenly makes it something that's unique. But then I'm thinking, in this day and age that we live in, with the way that people build kits and the way that datacrons are built, that speed is going to be irrelevant, because when you're getting like plus 70 speed from uniques, or you're getting 25% turn meter from datacrons, who cares if Relic 10 gives you 5 speed or 10 speed or 20 speed? It's not going to matter. It's like, how do you incentivize this shit? I don't know. Outside of just making it pure requirements for something, like a GL comes out and you got to have Relic 10. It's like, I don't know.
It would be nice to have all my characters at Relic 9, but the benefit, I mean, with how tough it is to get it right now, it's like you got to be very selective. And so I'm like, I spread the word, like, tanks, people with the ships, and GLs. I mean, they get the most benefit. Outside of that, hold on to that crap until something changes. It's don't be just. It's so tough to get. It's you got to be very selective with the Relic 9s, and as requirements come out and they start adding Relic 9s to requirements, you need to save that stuff for specifically that. Unless you're a big spender, then you don't care, right? But it's one of those things that, in an ideal world, it would be much easier for us to take these characters to higher relics and get what benefits we can, because every little bit matters. But for the most part, it's like no. I'll wait. I'll wait and see what's going to be required next.
Well, yeah, and until they address it and just make Relic 9 far more achievable to the audience, like, you really shouldn't be just R9ing your Phoenix faction like your boy Scribble here. You shouldn't be doing that, because it's the opportunity. You're wasting a huge opportunity there. You're setting yourself back, because it's not even a case of, oh, I could Relic 9 this, or I could Relic 9 that. It's a case of, I could Relic 9 this, or I could take another character from Relic 0 to Relic 7, and it would be about the same cost. It's like, when you look at it in that terms, it's pretty nutty. So
we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's just one of those things. It's like, okay. We just roll with the punches, folks. Just roll with the punches. I mean, I think you should be more satisfied. Relic 7, Relic 8 if you can, depending on where you're at in the game. Relic 8 is actually a really good relic for a lot of powerful characters, especially offensive characters. There's a big difference in your characers at Relic 8. Those extra stats at Relic 8 are pretty nice for general.
I'll take Relic 8 Jedi Knight Luke. I'll take a Relic 8 Gas. I'll take a Relic 9, Relic 8 anybody in a CLS team. Dark Trooper, gimme Relic 8. Absolutely. I'm not going to Relic 9. But Relic 8 is a good landing zone for those offensive characters, man. It adds a good chunk of offense without being crazy outlandishly expensive. It's still expensive, it still hurts, but Crate Dragon Raid has addressed a lot of those issues. It's a lot easier to do it now. It's not easy, but it's easier than it has been ever in the game to get characters to relics. And it's easier if you truly focus on it to get the materials and the signal data and the salvage that you need to do it. But it's not easy to Relic 9 something just at a drop of a hat,
Relic 8's tough, but Relic 9 is extraordinarily tough. So I think for the most part, focus on 7, 8 if you can, depending on where you're at and how often, where you're at with your guild and your group, and just stay focused. At least your GL's Relic 8 minimum, the only one that you should push. And it's fine. The stats at the Relic 8 for the GL's is perfectly fine. They get more at Relic 9, don't get me wrong, and some are way better than others. JML is a monster at Relic 9. It's a enormous difference between 8 and 9 with him. So just be smart about it. Just have a plan. That's the one thing that we always see. I've done thousands of roster reviews over the years, and be focused. I don't care what you're working on, just focusing on that. Don't have all this other stuff going on. Don't get distracted by the new sidetracked or distracted by the new shiny. If you want the new shiny, fine, then commit to that. Just understand, like people say, should I go for job first? No, unless you really want to commit and understand that it's going to take you a while, depending on how much you want it, if you're going to spend or not, because there's some big gates there that you have to go through, progression of characters that are going to be gated. To get Jedi Luke, he's the key piece, and then you have all this other stuff related to him that you have to unlock.
You want Jedi Luke? You need C-3PO. You want C-3PO? You need Ewoks. It's like, I know it's a lot easier to get those. It's a lot easier, but there's so many steps in order to get someone as big as Jabba that it's a lot harder than it looks at first glance, right? But it's I still think it's worthwhile, even in current environment.
It's worth it, but I always tell someone, like, pick a path, either SLKR or C. The characters that you get multiple teams out of those farms, and a fleet. If you work on that first, get in a guild, get some GP, get some teams up and running, start on one of those 2 dark side routes, and then once you do that, then you can start your light side route. Then you go for CLS and all that other stuff. And if you want to go for Jabba, then that's the time to go for it. Not because you got to focus on light side anyway, because you should. get your CLS, get all those characters, work on all those teams, and then that'll be your next big thing, you know. So that's right, you want to go do it. But if you just start with, you know, Java, you just know you're going to be gated for a while. You're going to be sitting there like doing nothing.
When you finally unlock it, you will get those rewards, right? It's just it's a difference between if you go a different route and you go for the easier low-hanging fruit, like you said, maybe you go for Executor into C, right? It might be quicker to do it. You could get both of them before you could get Jabba. If you're, you know, all things being equal, starting at a fresh start, you could probably go Executor into C and probably even start on someone like Slacker, and you could probably finish those farms before you finish Jabba, right? So you'll have a better rounded roster, but Jabba offers you different things that you can't get elsewhere, right? It gives you better raid performance for the meantime until this new raid comes out. It gives you better TB performance, arguably. It gives you Smuggler's Run 2, which gives you really good slicing materials for your mods, which is a whole other dimension to this, right? But it doesn't give you, you know, Executor. It doesn't give you a competitive fleet. It doesn't give you multiple GLs that can help you in GAC. You know, it's there are pros and cons, but I absolutely agree with you, Ranger. If you're going to do something, you stick to it. You focus it. You finish that goddamn farm. You finish it. Otherwise, you end up with a roster full of halfway to nothing.
Yeah, and I've seen rosters like that. Like, what are we doing here? Well, I was working on this and this and this. Like, no, get rid of that other crap. Either pick this or pick one of these other things and work on that. Don't work on all this other stuff because you have literally nothing here that's helping you at the moment. You know, work on one thing. I've always said when I focus on a specific path that I pick, you know, like Jedi Cal. I was like, okay, I'm taking. I said it and I stuck with it. I'm like, I didn't need to, but I was like, I'm taking these characters to Relic Zero because I don't trust CG with. You know, saying that I've been down that path before with gas. I'm like, I don't know what the legendary is going to be like. So I'm at least going to have Relic Zero with some flexibility to take them 3 to 5 if I need to. And I actually took Marion and regular Cal to Relic 5, but I was like, let me get them to the other 3 to Relic Zero, and then I'll do something afterward. But they'll be there. I worked on them religiously, and not only did I work on their gear and their relic levels, but I'm like, let's get their mods to 6E, so let's get some good mods. Let's get them on there. These are the ones I want to slice up and put them on there. So at the same time I'm doing that, that's how you should approach each of your teams. If you're working on bounty hunters, figure out what mods and modding you want to put on there. Do a little bit of research. It doesn't take long. You can do comparisons with anybody, see how they've got their teams modded in GAC and stuff. And like, okay, that's what I need to get mods for this character. And at the same time, I'm farming stars. I'm just getting the gear specifically for these characters and work them up till there's at least 6E and they're at least started their relic levels. That way you've got that team sitting there and it's in a pretty good spot for you need it for at the moment. Then you go to the next project. Because if you try to do, like you said, all over the place, you have Bosk and Grief Relic sitting there, but you got a Gear 8 Bando that's not doing anything. At the same time, you got CLS with Han, but no Chewie, because you haven't even unlocked him yet. You know, so you got some pieces, but they don't really work together, and you don't even have a team out of either that you can really do anything with. So
being halfway to nowhere is just not good, man. Like you'll be like, I'm not winning at GAC, and I don't know why. It's like because you don't have any cohesive team. Not one of your teams is finished. You've got 3 different teams that are 70% of the way there, which means they do nothing. It's like, just do yourself a favor and finish that damn farm. And exactly like Ranger was saying, do not neglect your goddamn mods. Those mods are still important. Even today, mods are still important. Give them some loving. You got to do your mod depression every day, right, Ranger?
I do it multiple times a day. I just did some right now. It's like, well, that sucked. Okay, moving on. It's just one of those things you do because it's needed, and you just be consistent with it, and eventually it'll work out to where you'll get nice things. It just takes time. Again, this is a marathon, not a sprint in this game, unless you spend. But even if you spend, we've both seen rosters where people got way ahead of their mods. Like, they'll have crazy. I saw a account that had GMK, Lord Vader, and they were working on Jabba, and then I looked at the mod and I'm like, ooh, did you forget something here? It's like,
that's the big thing, man. Like, if you are whaling, your mods will get left behind super quick if you don't remember to farm them. And even if you do, if you're whaling in the game on gear, you need to think about whaling just a little bit on those mods, because you will have a bunch of teams and no mods to put on them, and that's not a nice place to be.
I've told people in the past, like, you need to stop and for the next month focus mainly on modding. Like, don't you can farm stars, and I'm okay with that, but hoard your gear, get your mods caught up to where you're at, because you're so far ahead of your mods. Your teams are just not able to compete because you've got not even 5A mods on some of this stuff, and you've got to have it. You've got GLs. You need, like, in teams, you got to have those good mods. So the
It
characters
gives you
are
that
just
flexibility, right?
Yeah, it really does.
Let's think about Imperial Troopers, for example. Fantastic team, can roll over some really important teams, right? But if your Piet isn't fast enough to get out the gate, you're not doing anything with an Imperial Trooper team. They're going to be dead before they start that TM roll. It's like dead in the water team. I don't care if you've got an R9 Piet. You could have an R9 Piet and a full R8 team of Imperial Troopers. If they're not going first, they're not beating anything.
They're going to die.
Yeah, they're gonna die. They're gonna die, and it's not gonna be pretty. So
a lot of glass cannons.
I know
in that team.
That is a very extreme example, but that's a very good example of a team that can perform incredibly well if you have not neglected their mods. You know, so it's important, man. You know, that's the message.
The more you know.
Mods. Yeah, they matter. They matter. So there's one thing that I kind of wanted to discuss with you, and this is a little bit off the cuff, and maybe not even so much related to SWGoH, but
sure.
Not a lot of people know this, or maybe a lot of people do know this, but RSG and Ranger in particular gave me a very early break in my SWGoH career as a content creator, right? They invited me onto the Wednesday night stream, which I think is still the longest running podcast or show for Galaxy of Heroes, right? How many episodes are you guys on right now?
371, 2. I can't, off the top of my head, I don't know, but it's about that number. Yeah, 7 years. I just hit the 7-year anniversary of.
You could watch an episode a day, and it would take you over a year to do it. Like that's incredibly impressive, and hats off to yourselves there at RSG. That's quite the legacy that you've built up. But I wanted to pick your brains about the general concept of content creation. How did RSG come to be? How did it become the beast that it is today? What's the story of RSG, man? I don't know.
So when I'm a day one player, and when things are out, I was just watching for videos. At the time, I was working full time and stuff. And about 2 months in is when people started streaming. You had Tiny Grind Gains. There was another person, I can't remember his name, but he was a big whaler from TI that was doing it. And then you had Merlin, who I got started with from TI, that was streaming. I'll get that second, but then Lord Skunk was as well. So I actually met Merlin through when Lord Skunk formed his coalition. I hate saying that name because he's such a piece of shit. But the fact of the matter is, I met Merlin and I was just looking for something SWGoH related, just to see what people were doing and saying, and just, you know, back then the big thing was GW and how difficult it was. So it's like, what are the different teams and strategies?
How times have changed.
I know, man. And that's and so he was streaming and said, "You want to come on?" I'm like, "Sure." And me being the social butterfly that I am, just started cracking everybody up because I was doing all my voices and things of that nature and just being a goofball. And so I started hanging out with him, and that's where I met Grande and Finn. Grande was I don't remember if he was in the Lord Skunk Coalition, but he wasn't in TI. TI was not part of the Lord Skunk Guild Coalition, but they were just TI and they were just associated. But they didn't want to be a part of him. They kind of sniffed him out early, as I did.
Yeah, all right.
But Grande was part of Lord Skunk. So I met Grande that way, and then Finn was in there because he was a new player like we all were, and he would ask a million questions. And so we all joined because of Grande, Lord Skunk, and then I got into a guild with Finn and Dark Lord Lampshade, and then Stu. And Merlin was streaming, Lord Skunk was doing streaming with Ramon and Grande and everybody.
Sure. And
Merlin had a plan to stream, but then he got a position. He was working, and I think he still does. That's been 1 year since I talked to him, but with the Texas Rangers baseball organization, and so he had to stop. I did not like Lord Skunk. I thought he was garbage. but I
Okay.
mean, I was in the Guild Coalition, so I went along with it. And I wanted to support Grande and Ramon and all those guys as well.
For sure.
But when Merlin decided to go, me and Finn and mainly got together and decided that we would want to stream. Let's take the place of Merlin, because we wanted to give an alternative to what Lord Skunk was. And so me and Finn, with no help from anybody, we just figured it out. We spent hours researching how to stream and how to do it. We didn't have anybody we could go to about it. Merlin helped a little bit, but he didn't have any time. And so we set it up and ran our first episode in July of 2016, and June 2016. And then that's where it kind of kicked off. And then Grande was doing a lot of stuff with Lord Skunk, but he would come hang out with us because we were doing Wednesdays and he was doing Fridays. And it was me, Grande, Stu, and Lampshade. Lampshade eventually fell off. Stu fell off a little bit afterwards because life changed for him. Of course, if you don't know Stu's story, Stu Strong is what we do for ACS. It's now Stu Stronger, and I'll talk about that a little bit. But he was starting to he had real life, and then eventually he got cancer. And we didn't know it at the time. But that's how Archie kind of kicked off with just me and Finn with this idea of that we can stream. What we would call it. We actually weren't called Reality Scoot Gamers. We were called Real Sith of Genius. But we got copyrighted by none other than LucasArts itself, so you can't use Sith. So we had to change the name to Reality Scoot Gamers.
Of course you can't. Of course you can't.
No, you can't use Sith. They're kind of like that, So that changed our name, but pretty much that's been and people have come and gone over the years.
For sure.
Grande's still part of it, but the main crew back in the day for a few years was me, Finn, Grande, Team McVenom, and Loki. Loki's still hanging around. He just doesn't stream as much because Loki. That's where he got his introduction.
Loki, man. He's a good dude. He's a good
dude.
It
was great seeing him in Vegas. He's awesome. I love Loki. Do anything for the guy, but he's in the West Coast and he's got a lot of stuff going on. Especially after COVID, his hours shifted to where he just couldn't stream where we are because we're mainly on the East Coast and Central Time zones and here in the US. Grande's life stuff changed and he had to do other things, so he couldn't stream as much. Same thing with McVenom. She's a nurse, and so with COVID and everything, that really changed everything for her. So things change over time, but I mean, I've been through everything with Star Wars, Galaxy Heroes.
Of course,
Urge was on in the chat the other day, and we were reminiscing about when he first started and how we showed his video when he first started and how he took off, and then everybody. I mean, I've had relationships with pretty much everybody. The only one I really haven't had is Arnold, but Arnold's his own thing and he does his own thing, and he's Arnold, Arnold. And that's totally fine. But yeah, pretty much from Warrior to you name it, I've done stuff with, streamed with, helped out, been a part of Operation Metaverse, which was called something else when they first started.
Every area of SWGoH content creation in one way or another. Like almost anybody, like you can go into pretty much anybody's stream and you can say, "Hey, do you know Reality Scoot Gamer? Do you know Ranger?" And somebody knows you. Always somebody knows you. Whereas you could name drop me, you could name drop the Gerbil. Hell, you could even say people like Fatal, and there'll be people that don't actually know who that person is, not because they're not big and successful or whatever, but just because there's a lot of people in the world and there's a lot of SWGoH content creators, right? But invariably, somebody always knows who Ranger is, right? Because you've just been everywhere. You've been absolutely everywhere, prolific.
Yeah,
that goes to your character as well, Ranger. I want you to, as long as you're aware, you do a lot for this community. You do a lot. People, like I asked you to come on the show and you're like, yeah, I'll be there. Just let me know. And you're like that with everybody. You give a lot of your time, man.
Well, I mean, it's just, I just like to support everybody else, and it's just, this is what you do, right? And it didn't matter whether it was Cubs or Warrior or it was Mobile Gamer or whoever it was. If they asked me to come on, I'd do everything I could to be on because, I felt like you guys would do the same for me. And that's why we have a lot of people on the Academy and stuff, whether it's Calvin Awesome, whoever can come. I'm very flexible with that. Like, these shows are set up so that you could be there and come hang out and things of that nature. And people have come and gone since then. We've had a lot of people retire from streaming, which has kind of sucked, but I mean, people come and go. for various reasons, whether it's from RSG or from everybody. I mean, I miss all those guys. Cubs sucks that he had to leave. Warrior, you know, I mean, it's just been one of those things. But you know,
I don't know if you know this, Ranger, but Warrior for me was like my content creation idol early on, because when I first started playing this game, I watched his Pillars video, and I felt like it set me on the map, because it gave me the idea of like a farming plan, because I was completely new to mobile gaming and never played gacha games, and I just wanted to educate myself, and I saw that and I followed it, and it was amazing. So I kind of like idol worshipped Warrior. And I remember being on it might have been, I think it was either Jedi Academy one time, or it was on one of your lunchtime streams, and he just popped in, and I was just there like a little girl, like, oh my god, it's fucking Warrior, man. Warrior's in the chat. And I was just there like, hi, Warrior. It's like totally fucking smitten, dude. That was so weird for me. That was such a cool experience.
Yeah, I've been on everybody's craziness. Urs, Warrior, Cubs, his brother Senate, Skate Podcast, you know, Remon when he was doing his stuff. I mean, go down the line. I've done some form or shape of everything and been a part, helping or coming on. I still do it to this day. I was on the Old Man Cantina recently. They asked me to be on. I'm like, cool. Yep, I'll be there. You know, that kind of stuff. So, I'm more than glad to give my time to come talk. I mean, I'm talking Star Wars and hanging out with everybody. That's not a big ask, you know. I mean, the only thing I got going on Sundays is doing some laundry, you know. So it's like, you know, get up, have some coffee.
I mean, hell,
start my laundry,
do drag you away from your laundry.
I know, it's so rough, you know. I mean, and most of it's done already, because I'm kind of like, I get singularly focused when I'm doing something like laundry, and I'll sit here in this chair and I'll be watching videos and just waiting for the laundry. This will clink up. I'm gonna go do the put it in the dryer and I won't stop until it's done. You know, so
I'm sure it's got nothing to do with your military training that you're so regimented with your tasks.
No. Being an ex-Army Ranger and stuff has nothing to do with that. No, just
absolutely
good old-fashioned Ranger gusto. So. But I think it's important. I think it's important because, you know, as you know, we are big on our charity stuff, and we're getting ready. This this Saturday coming up is August 5th is going to be our kickoff of our 2023 campaign for the ACS, and so
amazing.
You know, people are already reaching out, like, how can I help? You know, those kind of things. Because it's not just this year we're trying to raise $22,194. It's roughly what we raise every year, but if we do it this year, we'll raise $100,000 for the ACS. Sick. You know, and that's not counting into some of the other stuff I've done, like for the stuff we did for Minnie. You know, I'm sure everybody remembers Minnie, but Kate came up to me because she knew all the stuff I did with charity, and she's like, we got to do something. And so I actually was like, okay, and reached out to the family, and we got, you know, CG was doing their own thing for the family, but I'm like, we got to do something. And they said St. Jude's. And so I was able to grab pretty much all the content creators. So let's do this. And that's how we were able to raise the $25,000 that we did for St. Jude's, you know, and I think that's important. You know,
it is.
it is. I think, you know, giving back in some form of another is important. You know, and so
I think, you know, people like us who are in this content creation game, and we are fortunate enough to make, you know, any sort of money doing this, anything at all. If we can sit here and have the platform to have people that support us out of, you know, taking hard-earned money out their pocket to support content creators like us, I think we do have a level of obligation to try and pass the buck. You know, you got to play it forward, right? So even if it's once a year or anything, like I usually do Movember, and I raise money for that at the end of the year, but just something small that we can give back, we really should, because we're still, you know, it's not like we make a living off doing this, but we make a nice little bit of pocket change sometimes. So we should try and use the platform that we've got, the audience that we've got, the incredibly generous people that support our channels, and just say, you know what, if you were going to sub to me, how about instead donate to American Cancer Society or St. Jude's Hospital, whatever the occasion might be, right? Like, it's a good thing. It's a good thing that we should be trying to push more of. So
yeah, I mean, it's why I do the stuff. I do stuff because I'm trying to expand the channel and, you know, and do other things. But there's a lot of stuff, like I'm going to be drinking a lot of Foster's here soon because I've got to update my Beskar Mando costume. I was told the other day, you need the great flight suit. I'm like, oh shit. And
right.
I've got the brown one, but like, season 3 had a gray one. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, oh man, I gotta do it. And I have fun with it because I'll do stupid things to raise money for that. And I try to make it productive toward things I'm doing. But the costume is for charity. I'm not doing this because I just want to sit in the costume. One, it's really heavy. It's not comfortable. But it's one of those things like 2 things that I have to need to do, and I get the community involved because they like to be involved. It's a way for them to participate. It's like, okay, we tried the one paint job, it didn't work. All right, so I got to do the full work. I didn't want to do it, but we're going to have to go full tilt. This is what I need to go do the full chrome resin armor on these pieces so that I don't ever have to mess with it again. It's going to take me 2 weeks to go through the whole process of preparing each of the armor pieces and then do the layers and all the work that's going to be done on that.
Did you do any of the recording of the painting or anything like that? Because that would make a really cool little YouTube video series.
I always do. Actually, I streamed it. I streamed it on the
You should totally cut those videos and put it up on YouTube, dude. That'd be awesome.
Brother, I suck at that stuff, man. I had to pay someone. I just don't. I'm not very good at that kind of stuff.
How long is the footage? How long's the footage?
It's quite a few hours because I just basically live streamed it.
Okay.
So,
well, if you can send the footage to me, I can see about cutting that up. It could even be in a couple of videos because that's cool, dude.
Well, what we'll do then is when I've got to get a new chest piece and gauntlets because the others 2 cracked because they weren't the best quality. So I've got new pieces coming in, and when I get those prepared, I'll do that and then send it to you, and then you can cut it and you can see that. Because we're really what the costume is for is because we do hospital visits to the kids. Before you can see behind me here, there's Darth Revan. That's the costume I was wearing before. Yeah, with the lightsabers and everything. Nobody knew who Darth Revan was. Like you say Star Wars, I could walk around that costume. Only the true nerds would know who that is and geek out, but everybody else like, are you Vader? Yeah. Who are you? They would have no idea what's going on. But I'll give you an example. I wore the Beskar costume in Vegas, dude, and you know how that went. People were throwing money at me left and right to get a picture with me in that costume. I had a stripper freak out and stop her routine and came over and made me come over and take pictures with her because she was so geeked out because her son loves that character. I've actually got a video of that I showed. So the reaction and the kids they loved it. All the kids that were in Vegas that night were just losing their minds.
They're like, Mando.
Hold the dark saber. Yeah, I mean, the grown-ups were of course being crazy, but the kids were great, and that's why I went there and tested it there on Fremont Street. Sure. So I know that when we go to the hospitals in that costume with the full regalia, and I've got an animated Grogu behind me. That the one behind that's the actually animated Grogu that I've got a controller for that moves and talks and does all his little noises. And
that is so cool, man.
That's so cool for the kids. That's the whole point. We do that kind of stuff. That's why I raise the money that I do. It's not for for me. It's for the causes we're doing.
Ranger can be a big kid and pretend to be Mando. I mean, there's probably an element of it. He probably likes it. It's like, wow, check out this cool badass armor. But the main thing is, man, like, it's for charity. It's to go and see the kids, to put a smile on their face, make them forget about some of the crap that they've got to deal with just for a day, just for 20 minutes. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's a noble thing to do, man.
That's what it's all about. I mean, when I was thinking about doing it, I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it all the way. But then I looked at how much it was going to cost. I'm like, oh my God, that's a lot, Yeah. So, yeah. That's why we do the things we do, and it's frustrating because it's so much work for this costume, but you do it because there's a bigger goal, better reason, to do that. You just like, I'm in this hot room with all this crap on painting right now and scrubbing, wet sanding, but it's for the kids. And so you're like, I lose a few pounds sweating. That's fine. Yeah. That's for the kids.
That's okay.
So you suffer through and
you get high on pain. You've got to do a couple of 100 Chewies of Fosters to get there. I mean,
we do it. We must.
Yeah, exactly. I will do what I must. I love it. Man,
so I will record that. Yeah, I'll record that. Yeah, I'll record that because
absolutely, dude.
It's going to be a 2-week process because it's stages that you have to do with the armor. the last one, where it's basically you're using resin and it'll look like the actual chrome armor. I was using a paint before, but the problem with the paint is as soon as it touches something, it rubs and it leaves marks. It's not going to work. So,
yeah, you don't want that.
It looks good. It looks great.
You'll probably have to upload it to something like Google Drives or something, or it'll be too big to send across any other format. But we'll figure something out. Yeah,
I'll just email it to you.
Yeah. If it'll fit on there, because I know video files can be pretty chunky. But we'll figure something out, and then
I'll convert it to whatever file, like an NC4 or something, and just send it to you in an email.
Yeah.
Put it on Google Drive, and you can just open it.
Yeah. It'll be fine, and it'll be cool then, because if I can condense that into 10 to 20 minute worth of video, then you can just showcase it up on your channel or something like that. Just a little bit of fun, a little bit of memories for you guys to go back and check. So it'll be good. Yeah. Nifty. I like it a lot. So the history of RSG, and I was actually introduced to you guys first through the legend that is the Smithy D.
Oh, Mr. yeah, good old Smithy D.
Yeah, how did you guys first meet?
Well, he was doing his own content creation, and he had an idea for the Jedi Academy. That was actually something Smithy came up with the idea for. And he wanted to have a Saturday stream where all the content creators that wanted to come on could come on and just answer questions. And I'm like, sure, I'm down to do it. Warrior was down to do it. We had quite a few people that were down to do it. It became very apparent, unfortunately, that Smithy did not have the equipment to handle streaming like that. We did. So that's how Jedi Academy started. It started with us. But then soon after Jedi Academy started, because the way it was working is that I would handle the streaming part of it and be part of the content creators on the panel. And so would he, but he would look for the questions and scoop them up, and then he would read the questions and do it that way. And I would just be a part of it, mainly looking at just handling the streaming aspect of it.
Yeah.
It wasn't soon long after that started that's when Smithy had to drop because of real life. And so it became our thing. So we took it over. So, and it's mainly just me now. I mean, Finn does do SWGoH stuff, but I mean, he's pretty much quit the game. He does a few things. He's doing other things because we've expanded to other games. Like we did D&D yesterday.
Cool.
And we do other games on we have RSG Variety now. So we have a separate channel from RSG, which is mainly just Star Wars games and SWGoH. So we keep that for certain things. And then we've got RSG Variety that can be for a Marbles night or, you know, D&D or any other stupid games you want to play over there. But yeah, Smithy D, we go way back, and he's come on a few times, and we've done some fun stuff. But then he's got a new baby, and you know,
bless him,
relationships and things of that nature. He just doesn't have the time, and kind of dropped the game. And you know, real life, it changes. He
like picks it up occasionally from time to time. I see he every couple of months he's got a new different account. Because he just dips in, he plays a bit, he's like, oh, that's cool, and then off he goes again and comes back in a couple of months. But he's a good dude. I haven't spoken to him in a long while. But he's a good dude. He's a good dude.
I've had
there aren't many Brits that do Galaxy of Heroes that are, as far as I could tell, content creators. I mean,
Smithy D was the OG. But I mean, you meet so many awesome people, and I've had the privilege of meeting all these great people. Well, outside of Lord Skunk. Ugh. But like Urban Blaster, Urban Blaster, we've done a lot of funny stuff with over the years until he stopped doing it. I mean, Warrior, you just go down the line of content creators. T Money and Gom, you know, they've been part of our charity stuff until they stopped playing. You know, it saddens you when they. I mean, one of the OGs left. I mean, everyone else is gone. So, and I'm not planning on going anywhere anytime soon. So it's sad, but it's kind of cool, you know.
It's like, I'm still here.
Develop these relationships. I'm still standing.
Stronger than I ever was.
But it's really cool that I got to. I mean, it's been really cool to get to develop all these relationships with these awesome people, and you know, and then you meet their community and they become a part of your community, and then it becomes one whole community, and then it's a cool thing, and it's something that that's the thing I enjoy the most about streaming, is just getting to meet new people and entertaining them, because the biggest kick I get out of this is that people, this is their fun time, this is their escape, this helps gets them through, like the lunch streams we do. I've had so many people message me like, your streams get me through my workday. I'm like, shit, that's all you need to say. That's good enough for me. I don't need anything else. Just hearing those words is all I care about,
And it's great. It's like, when you go live and there are people join your stream within seconds, or there are people waiting in your stream.
Oh yeah.
And it's the same people. These are people you get to know, and you get to have a chat with them every single time you go live. It's like you can always rely, because it's nice that you feel you've built that community yourself. You fostered it, and
it's a great thing.
But yeah, no, I totally get it. It's an unsung part, I think, of being a content creator. Is there are bad parts to it too, but there's a lot of good that comes with it as well.
Oh, there's plenty of asshats out there, and I don't care about them. If you don't like me, I don't care. I don't know you from Adam and Eve. If you don't like me, go watch something else. It doesn't bother me. You can say whatever you want about me. I don't care. I'm only here for the people that enjoy what I'm doing.
There's a big shiny ban button that we've got. That always helps.
Oh yeah, I got time for that crap, man. I don't do drama. I don't do bullshit. I'll take constructive criticism. I'm more than willing to say I'm wrong, and do a lot all the time. Like, what? I just got that wrong. Sorry.
Yeah.
But if you just want to be negative, or just be an asshole and just toxic,
don't got time for it, man.
I got time for it. I got this little button called the ban button. Bye.
Yeah. If I want that sort of welcome, I'll go over to Reddit and I'll post an opinion on anything. Yeah. I'm not here for it. Like it's hard enough when your YouTube videos get asshats that are just commenting negative things for the sake of it. I'm not a big content creator, but I get comments on my videos, and not all of them are nice. Sometimes you get some quite hateful comments on those, and I can't imagine what the big guys get. Like I imagine Arnold gets a lot of abuse on his comment section. I'm sure he's got like loads of love, but the more people that watch your stuff, the more you open yourself up.
Yeah, there's just some miserable people out there, and they want to make you miserable along with them. But my big thing on streaming is, you ain't taking the fun from everybody else. I'm not going to let you be the spotlight. If you want to do something like that, I've been doing YouTube for years. If I see a thread starting to get crazy, I'll just delete it and ban the person. Because no, you're not going to take this over because you're miserable and you want to make everybody else miserable and just start slinging crap around. Like, if you want to criticize me and you have good constructive criticism, and hell, even if you say I don't like you, it's like, okay, not everybody's gonna like you. That's cool. I don't mind that, but when it gets vitriol and just nasty, it's like,
if it's
you're just doing this,
if you can be polite about it, if you can politely bitch slap me, that's totally fine. But if you want to be an asshole about it, then that's entirely different.
Get bent. So. Yeah, get bent. I ain't got time for that crap, and I just don't put up. It's like, okay, bye, delete. And
exactly.
We'll move on to, you hang out with the people that are here to have a good time, and,
exactly.
That's what it's all about, But you gotta have thick skin when you do this too. It's like
you do. You
just don't care. Yeah, you're just like, if I don't know you and you say something, it's like most of the time I'll be like, I'll think about it for a brief moment. Like, what are they saying? Are they being constructive? I think they're being constructive, but is it true? Do I? And I'll think about it. But it's not. It's like, okay, and then I move on. It's like that quick. It's like, okay, in and out, and a registered process. Just great, move on. So you just have to be that way, and. It's just the nature of the business. If you're going to put yourself out there like we do, you got to know how to play the game, and that's the way the game is.
Yeah. Because if you end up just taking everything to heart, you're going to go bolder than I am, very, very quickly, and then that's just not where you want to be. You want to keep that blood pressure nice and low. Well, not too low. Yeah.
Talking with someone you don't even know about stupid shit is not a way to spend. It doesn't do anything. You're not going to win a fight with someone on the internet. Mean, why bother?
There is no winning there. Right? Yeah.
And my thing is, if you don't have the balls to say it to my face, then I really don't care what you have to say on the internet, because
I'm sure most of them won't have the balls to say it to your face.
No, that's what I look at. It's like, no, sorry.
And if they want to say it to my face, they'll have to get a flight to the UK, and that's going to cost them lots of money.
I know, right?
Like, who won, really?
You just start laughing as soon as they knock on the door, like, you dumbass. Just laugh and shut the door on them. And they can hear you laughing really loud as you just lock the door and call the police on them.
Well, yeah, start a live stream. I'll be like, hey, look at this guy, look at this asshole. Came all the way to sunny Wales to insult me.
Jesus.
I don't know. Yeah, it's an interesting game, the old content creation. That you gotta do it because you really, really want to do it. Because otherwise, just don't quit while you're ahead. There's a lot that goes into it. I know a lot of people have this perception that you start doing content creation and you're just the lazy gamer that you play games, you put up videos of you playing a game, and you sit back and expect to get paid for it. And it's like, I don't think you realize the amount of time, effort, dedication, skill set. You got to learn how to edit videos. You've got to learn how to manage sound streams, talk with a crowd, talk with the community, build rapport, and do the thing that you're doing all at the same time. It's not like some 5-minute job, man. You know. How much research did you have to do in order just to learn how to stream?
Oh, hours. All the different software and everything that goes into it. And then when it doesn't work, why isn't it working? And then trying to problem solve.
They break.
That's just
for
to get
no reason.
The stream up. Then you got to figure out, how am I going to relate and entertain folks? How am I going to go about doing that? And it's one of those things where, that's the easy part is getting the stream started. The hard part is keeping people there watching you. Why are they watching you? Do they relate to you? If they relate to you, why are they relating to you? And I've always been open and real with folks. So what you see is what you get. That's kind of my shtick. Just, hey, we're hanging out and we're a bunch of big old nerds just hanging out, just talking, just doing our thing. But other people have different ways of doing it and how they go about getting an audience. But you have to put yourself out there somehow, even if you're playing a character, on a stream or something along those lines. You just have to stick with it and have people relate to it. And you have to understand your point. When we first started, we had 3 people watching us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got to deal with the mentality of, oh my God, nobody's actually watching this, or 2 people is watching this. And that's where most streamers are going to start. You've got to fight through months of nobody watching your shit to get to a point where you start to build a community. It takes time, man. It takes effort, mental effort, just to sit back and think, do I keep doing this?
Yeah. And my military background made me more patient than I think most people. Plus I had been in a band, band that I went through that too, where we would play dive holes and cover songs, when we first started, because we play our original material, but you had to do that in front of 10 people. They're just in there drinking and give a shit what you're playing.
Yeah, not even paying attention to you,
just out of the bar. You just had to stick with it. I mean, it was a lot of work and effort and practice and time, and you went through all that, but it starts paying off. Then you started getting known, and if you were consistent, then people at these places would invite you back more. And then at certain nights, the bigger nights, you would get a bigger audience, and then they start liking you, and then that gets your name out there. And then you start getting invited to play bigger venues and more well-known venues. And then you start getting in a bigger crowd. And then you start playing the really big venues, which we did when I was in the band. But you had to build it from the ground up. You just didn't show up and have 10,000 fans screaming your name. No band.
Exactly.
You have to really struggle. And so when we started streaming, I had the same mentality, we'll have to struggle and we'll see where this goes and we'll take it from there. It
takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time. You got to have that mental fortitude. Otherwise, just don't bother. Just enjoy the game, whatever you're doing. And just love it for that side of it. I mean, you can, if you just really don't care about if anybody watches your stuff, you can just make videos for fun, stream for fun, even if nobody's watching. If you find that enjoyable, do it by all means. But fixating on whatever measurement of success that you have, be that viewers or be that subs or whatever you want to call your version of success, you got to understand that takes effort, it takes time, it takes work, and you've got to be prepared to put in that work because nobody else is going to do that for you. You got to do it yourself, man. You got to do it yourself. So,
you got to be consistent. You got to be always, I very big on always being on at the exact same time. And if we change the time, put it out ahead of time so people know. But same time, always consistent. People know that you're going to be streaming at that time, and you just do it. And some days you may not feel like it. Some days you're feeling run down, or you're tired, you're sick, and had a bad day, and you're just like, you just got to power through it. If you want to do it full time, you have to really, like anything else. So
like there to this day, there's still days where I'm sat here at my computer with OBS open, cameras, lights, everything on, and I'm just not hitting that go live button because I'm like, I need to mentally. I'm not in that zone to be the entertaining guy, but I need, this is my stream day. This is my stream time. I need to do it. I just need a moment to compose myself and be that guy again, you like,
we also need to, you have to learn how to, you're absolutely right. The other thing you got to learn how to do is decompress, because
for sure.
Even doing a 3-hour stream, you are drained. I mean, you're consistently for 3 hours straight talking. I mean, if you've ever done a live talk, even an hour of live talking, like doing a presentation, which is kind of what you're doing, that's draining. So after 2 or 3 hours, I've always given the advice, you got to decompress. I immediately put on something stupid or funny, on YouTube or something, and just start watching it for about 30 minutes to an hour. And I try I try to have a routine. I get up, same time, go work out. I got to start my day working out. Then I grab some coffee, then I come back, get everything set up, kind of chill. Like you said, get in the zone. I know I'm about to stream, get in that mindset, then do the work, have fun. And then after that, I decompress for a little bit. And then at that point, it's like, okay, let me shower, let me shave, let me do my thing and decompress. And then, and then is there anything else I need to work on? Is there video I need to work on, like the lore video? What's the schedule?
It's so true, man, because I stream in the evening in my local time. So when I finish a stream, quite often it might be 11 at night or pushing into 12. Maybe it's like 10. Depends on the day when I'm streaming. But it's not like I do that and then I'm like, right, it's bedtime, go to bed. If I just go straight to bed, I'm going to be like wired. I'll be tired, but wired at the same time. It's like you need to be able to relax, to calm down, and just like you said, it's just decompress. Otherwise, you're just going to be high strung, and I've done it before. I've laid in bed, knackered, and you're still awake at like 3 in the morning, just oh my god, I can't stop focusing. I know. I've
got insomnia, unfortunately. So certain times it'll hit me. The worst is the toughest thing is to do the Heinze stream, which I love doing. But Friday nights are crazy because we're 5-6 hours of streaming straight, and it gets to about midnight my time. I still have to have an hour or two to decompress, because if I just go and lay down, because I have to be up early in the morning, get ready for the Jedi Academy, I won't sleep. So usually I will sit there for an hour and do something, just watch something vegetative. Again, funny, decompress, think about something else. By 1, I'm like, okay, let me turn off the lights and then try to go to bed if I can. So, but it's just one of those things that, I've been there where I've literally gotten off a stream when we first started, but I had to go to bed because I had to be at work the next morning, bright and early. And I'm just at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I can't get off my brain. It's like, it won't shut off.
Real. It's tricky, man. It's all the sides of content creation, streaming, and all that business that nobody talks about. But I'm sure we all go through something similar. Or I've had things. I know you've got this strong mental fortitude about you. But I've had things where it'll be someone would have said something in the stream, or there'd been a comment on a video, and it would just be playing on my mind, and I'll just be like, "Is that what they meant? Do they really think I'm a boring person? Like, do they really not like? Am I really stupid?" And that sometimes, it's not often, but sometimes that stuff just sticks with me, and it's so important to manage that correctly, because it's so easy in this day and age to just let that shit eat you up and affect you long term. You know, you got to look after your mental health, guys, and this goes for everybody. This is not a man thing or anything, although we do know that men in general cope with mental stress worse than women do. But everybody needs to look after their mental health, whatever it takes, man. So, you know,
just have. I always say having people in your life is important, but having hobbies in your life is, I think, more important. Even if you're in a relationship with someone, you still need you time.
Oh, 100%.
What is something you're passionate about? And I don't really care what it is, whether it's reading, doing artwork, or painting models, whether it's Legos. I don't really care what it is. You gotta have something for you. It can't control your life, but it's got to be something that's just for you. So that when you, even if it's your favorite show or, you know, series,
I'm sure everybody's got like a, what do they call it? Like a comfort show. You might have watched it 100 times already, but you know, you can just sit back and you can put an episode of it on and you just be like, I don't have to think about it. I don't even have to really watch it. I can just listen to it and that's enough. You know?
I mean, my two things is I'll find something on YouTube. That's my decompressed time. But when I'm doing me time, it's mainly anime. I'm a huge anime junkie.
Oh, I know you're a huge anime guy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen pretty much everything. Read the mangas. You know, like don't get me started on anime. We'll be here for another 3 hours. But that's my go-to for when I'm down. If it's not like a series like Ahsoka's out or something, I'm watching anime. You know, and I let the series build up. Most of the time I can't help myself. If it's a new series,
you just want to watch it
and I like it. I'm like, I'm gonna go read the manga, and I'll go read the whole goddamn manga to where it's at. I like know what's going on because I can't help myself. But I'll go down that rabbit hole. But that's how I kind of, you know, keep myself mentally disconnected. Just like let everything go. Go watch this, whether it's a serious anime or a goofy anime or a comedy. It doesn't matter. It's just like that's my entertainment right now, and put me in a different headspace. You know, because physically, to get the physical stress off, I think walking or working out is important.
Yeah,
but you got to have that mental.
I'm back at the gym now, so
it's good.
It's
really good.
It's like there's nothing quite beats that feeling of right after a workout when you have your shower and you step out the shower and your whole body's got that buzz to it. You're like, oh yeah, I feel like a literal new man right now. Like that's good. And like, you know, I think everybody should do a little bit of exercise. I think it's good for your mental and physical well-being all the time. I'll be an advocate of that forever. And I'm not saying every guy should be going out there and lifting weights. I don't care if you lift weights or you go for a walk, whatever, man. Just do something that gets you out and gets your heart going. Just a little bit, half an hour a day, if that's all you can manage. If you can do more,
I work out.
But
I mean, I do an intense workout, but it's not heavy weights, and it's about 30 minutes, and it's intense, and I do it, and then it's like, you know, I feel great afterwards. I feel tired, but you know, it's my routine. Go work out, grab some coffee, eat some eggs, and I feel great. You know, so but everybody's going to be different on like what works for them and stuff. So just fine. It doesn't really matter whether it's running, biking, walking, lifting, or you know, whatever exercise, yoga, whatever it is. You know, that's something important to do. You need that release, especially if you're working in an office all day. Take an hour, go to the gym, you know, change out of those clothes, get into some workout clothes, just get on the treadmill and walk 30 minutes and put your favorite music in. It'll make a big difference in just your mental stress and your physical stress.
I have to do something like that because I work, like in my stream room, you can see this extra monitor here. This is my work, my office work as well. So I sit here all day and I do my full-time job. You know, the job I'm paid money to do, my actual career. And then when I'm done, I turn 90 degrees to the right and I've got my stream set up and this is where I do my content creation. So if I don't leave this room, I literally live in this room 14 hours a day. And that is not healthy. It's comfortable. It's like, you know, I've got footrests and I've got a good chair and all this sort of business, but it is not healthy for me to be in this room every single day for 14 hours. You have to get out. You have to do something. So tell you, I've just started recently. I've got myself an eye mask that's got built-in Bluetooth speakers, right? So I can put that on a bed and I'll listen to meditation, like in bed, half an hour. And I don't care. You know, people can call me hippie-ish, new age, whatever. I'll take anything that'll help. You know what I mean? And I feel it does help. It does help. It relaxes me. So it's
well, Tumblr
whatever
said
it takes, guys.
He just put a comment in the chat. It's like, you put yourself out there, must be difficult to not take it personal. No, it is actually quite easy. It's your mental state of mind on it. Like, I don't know you. Like, if someone says something about me, I have two choices. I can let it bother me, or I can not let it bother me. It is that simple. You know, and if I don't know you from a hole in the wall, I could care less what you think about me. You know, unless I've done something that makes me pause for a second, like, was that an asshole there? Let me think about that for a second. You know, but if I'm just being normal me and someone says, you suck and you're trash, it's like, great. You know, as I said, you can only be offended if you want to be offended. And that's how you have to think about it. Like, why do I care? You know, I don't take it personally because I don't know the person. You know, it's not like somebody I care about and respect saying something to me. That I'll take more personally. You know,
yeah, for sure.
Because I know the person. Why are they saying that? And that's when it gets a little bit more emotional. But if I don't know you that well, even if the people I know in chat, they could say something, I'm going to take it personally. They can make it personal, but that's up to me. That's me just saying, you know what? Maybe you're having a bad day or something, but I don't care, you know? So again, it's just how you perceive and understanding. People could have bad days and just say stupid shit all the time, and they could call you names and stuff, but it's like, you had a shitty day, you know? I just walk away. You know, I've done enough fighting in my life that I don't need any of that shit, you know? So, you know.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sometimes find it harder to distance myself. It depends on who's saying it and what's been said. Some things are just like I don't care. Right?
Yeah, we're all human beings.
Sometimes
we all have that moment.
Things hurt, you know, and I need a moment, and sometimes that moment turns into a couple of hours. But you know, ultimately, I do learn to let it go. I never hold a grudge. Like I have a personal philosophy to not hold grudges, because I think it's wasting too much of my energy on stuff that doesn't matter. So even people that have wronged me, in my opinion, quite badly, I don't hold a grudge. I'll be pissed for a while, but then I'll just let it go, because I'm like, there's no point. I'm only making myself feel worse about it. So fuck them, you know? I'm not saying I forgive them, but I'm not going to let that grudge, you know, dictate how I feel about anything for the rest of my life. That's just not worth it to me.
That's not worth it. I'm just gonna come like you know, Boss Livewire has been on our stream. He doesn't play the game anymore, but he was on recently, and you know, he is who he is, and I love him like a little brother. And he said some stupid shit, and I was like, got an argument with him, and I just was like, you don't know what you're talking about. Shut the fuck up. You know, I literally got angry with him for a moment, and he did, and I was like, Jesus Christ. You know, I was like, God damn. And then 1 minute later, I'm like, blah, 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 you know, just being my normal self. You got to have that mentality. Sure. You know, where in the moment someone deserves it, I'll let them have it. But then I was like, you know, moving on.
After that, move on. So, definitely.
Yeah. In the moment, you want to start some shit, sure. But I'm not going to sit there and keep going and thinking about it. It's kind of like, well, that just happened. Back to my normal dumb self.
It's not healthy, right? It's not healthy to do it. So. Anyway, I think that's gonna wrap this up. It's been great, actually. This is exactly the sort of thing that I wanted to do with this podcast. And I know this is not going to appeal to a large member of the audience here, where we're talking about real life shit and not SWGoH, but I don't care. It's my fucking podcast. Don't like it, don't listen to it. That's the way it's going to be. I want to have more of these types of conversations. So I really do appreciate you taking an hour and a half out of your time, or 2 hours nearly out of your time, Ranger, to come join me and chat shit. It's been great, baby. And I'll try and actually put this one up and publish it instead of just upload it to the podcast hosting website and not actually publish it.
Oh my God.
You know,
last Sunday
is hard.
Last Sunday I got the because I'm subscribed, right? I get the notification like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go check this out. And at first there was no sound, so I immediately messaged subscribe because YouTube, but it didn't have any sound for a good bit. I'm like,
that's weird.
That's weird. And then I'm like, okay, it seems like it fixed itself. The sound is back. And then I got to the end of it. I'm like,
that's short.
Did he cut off on purpose?
No,
like, what the hell's going on, dude?
So I'd compressed I'd encoded the entire video. It was like a 2-hour stream, right? But at the 48-minute mark, like the video corrupted. So I always test my videos, right? You compress the video in whatever software you use, you press the play button, you're like, okay, yeah, it's run. Sometimes I'll skip ahead a little bit. Yeah, okay, it's fine. But when it's 2 hours, I'm not going to sit there and watch a 2-hour podcast that I recorded. So I was just like, yep, time says 2 hours. I do a little bit of scanning through. Everything seems fine. Upload it and find out that it's only got 48 minutes on the timer. And I'm like, wait, that's not right. That was a 2-hour show. And I go back to the actual file, and as soon as you go past the 48-minute mark, the file corrupts. It just stops playing. And I've never had that happen before. I was like, why is this? What the fuck? So I had to go back in and completely re-encode the entire thing. For a 2-hour video, it takes some time. And then I had to just replace the video file. So that was fun. But hey. But yeah, so it was great. Ranger, thank you so much for joining me.
Always, sir.
It's always an open invitation to this. And make sure you send me that footage of the Beskar armor stuff, dude.
Yeah, I gotta wait for the last the pieces to come in. So it'll be probably by the end of August. I'll have all the footage because I still have to wait for the stuff to come in, the new pieces, and then we'll start the process. And I'll record everything, and that'd be cool. That'll be fun. So I'll send that to you.
So thank you so much. Mr. Ranger J from Reality Skewed Gamers. You can absolutely find him on Twitch and on YouTube. If you do not already, then I don't know what you're doing. You're doing stuff wrong.
They don't like me. I don't like you either. You watch yourself.
Peace out, guys, and big love.